What's going on, folks? We're back. We are back. I think there's like
back.
I think there's like a 15-second delay or something like that on this show today for some reason. Yeah, we're back. Hey, this is episode 103 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. The date today is Monday, March the 15th, 2021, 7:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tony and I are watching Kong Skull Island today in the big lead up to Kong versus Godzilla. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! Oh, we're live, and our big run-up to Kong versus Godzilla, which of course is coming out on HBO Max and in select theaters on March the 31st. And we start with King Kong. Today, 2017's Kong. Brie Larson,
he hasn't
Goodman.
made it to King quite yet.
No, and who knows if they'll even give him the title King in this new movie. I don't know. It'll be.
If they do, you called it because you did say you were the one who said on our stream months ago.
I said this like a year ago. I said I have a feel, but somebody pointed out to me that one of the reasons why he may not have been referred to as King Kong in Kong Skull Island is primarily because apparently, and I'd have to brush up on the details of this, but apparently there's a rights issue with using the name King Kong as opposed to just Kong or something to that effect. So that may have been a reason.
If they, I'm playing devil's advocate here. If you're right? You know what they'll probably do in the movie? I have never seen it, so I don't know. No, someone will probably go, now he's king, and leave it at that.
Yes,
they won't call him the full name.
Well, they'll
just. You know what I mean?
That's what they did in Kong Skull Island. You have what's-his-face says, that's Kong, he's king around here.
Right. They'll play on the words. You know what I mean?
They'll play on the words, exactly. And however, having said that, who knows? I mean, maybe he won't win. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. I think narratively speaking, I don't think it's going to be a draw. Adam Wingard, the director, said there will be a definitive winner. Now, what that means and whether that's a matter of semantics or whether that's an Obi-Wan Kenobi from a certain point of view,
right?
You know, who knows? But apparently there will be a quote-unquote definitive winner. Okay. But narratively speaking, I mean, removing my emotional attachment from Godzilla out of it and thinking of it as a writer, narratively speaking, it is an incredible opportunity to give him the name King, as you know, because it makes sense if he were to win and then he becomes king because he steals the title from Godzilla, and you know, whatever. I mean, narratively it makes sense. But
then we'll have a rematch.
Who knows, right? Who knows? Have a rematch and Godzilla will take a. Who knows? But I'm Team Godzilla, of course.
Manila.
That's right. The Thrilla in the.
That was the third one. Rumble in the Jungle. Like, what was the second Fraser Ali fight? Because I know the 50th anniversary for Fraser Ali just passed. The first
Rumble in the Jungle or something like that?
Rumble in the Jungle. There you go. That's it. The second one, Kong versus Godzilla. Rumble in the Jungle.
That's it. So, I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on. Tony, of course, is Team Kong. I am Team Godzilla. Right. So we're having a friendly battle heated here.
Unless you're on the internet, then I'm getting death threats for being against Godzilla.
Right. Exactly. Well, that is the internet. I mean, most of the internet has the IQ of a turnip. So, I mean, that's generally what
being
happens.
Generous.
Right? Well, it is. I mean, it's true, and it's an insult to turnips everywhere. But
sorry, turnips. We got nothing but love for you.
Episode 103 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Tony and I are leading up to the big release of Kong versus Godzilla March 31st. So expect some Kong and Godzilla action here over the next couple of weeks. We thought this would be fun. This is Tony's idea. I thought it was a great idea. And that's what we're going to do. And
nice
we're watching.
Change in pace. I mean, their monster movies are in the horror distant cousin family genre, so it's not too far out of what we do.
Exactly. I agree. And obviously it was a very busy week for both of us last week. There was no Two Dudes. I didn't do any shows last week. It was crazy busy. I'll get more into that tomorrow on McRae Live, but it was a busy week, and sometimes that happens, but it's good to be back. And Tony and I are paused about 2 or 3 seconds into the movie. you're just seeing the Warner Brothers logo coming up onto the screen as it's tracking in towards you. That's where we are paused. So if you want to get your movie ready in that area, then it will work. I'm going to actually turn off, because I got Tony brought over here on Zoom. I think I can I do that? Oh, maybe I can't. No, I think we'll be okay. I should have done that before. Anyway, hopefully the camera will be okay. It tends to glitch for whatever reason. I have no idea why. So if you see it, just don't worry about it. Okay, Tony, you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Kong Skull Island. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes.
I will say one thing I do really like about this movie is I love the cinematography and style, their approach to it. They really, because it's set in the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm, it is.
And they really tried to capture that orange, tealy 70s vibe and look to the film.
A lot of the colors are saturated.
Yeah, very, but not like over processed. So I thought whoever did the post production on
Gatsby
this, they did a really good job.
Yeah, somewhere over the Pacific, South Pacific, 1944. Yeah.
Now, I believe technically in this universe, Kong would be the first in the universe, right? Because it goes Kong, then Godzilla, the King of the Monsters.
Right. Yes, this is technically the first movie in this monster universe. It would go, Kong Skull Island.
Are they going to do anything beyond Kong and Godzilla? Do you know?
I think they will. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's so rich with a bunch of a bunch of things. You know, it's vast. You can certainly.
And they're doing
a lot of material.
Like from the first Godzilla movie to even now watching it, their CGI is just getting better and better.
Yeah. It's
the overall look between even Godzilla and Kong, they look really good. I mean, compared to what we're going to be watching here in a few weeks.
Right. I know what you're. Yeah, I mean it's. Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, certainly in comparison to the Toho films of the 60s and the 70s. I mean, it's, they're not, I mean, when done right and done well, the, CGI can be pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I did see some super chats came in. We'll get to the super chats after the movie. Feel free to send those in if you want. Just know that we'll get to them after the film. We've just started here. That's a great shot. Kong Skull Island, 2 minutes, 8 seconds into the movie. 1944 over the South Pacific. Of course,
World War II. That's actually where my grandfather fought in World War II. He fought in the South Pacific.
Very cool. I have I mean, this kind of hyper saturation, I get it. I do get it. But I have a sort of there's some moments where I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And other moments where I'm like, yeah.
Well, I think that the reason why they're giving it that sepia look is because it's set in the 40s. So I think that's why they intentionally did it for this scene.
I don't have an issue with the color. I just feel it might be just a little too saturated, but that's me. It's just that's just an aesthetic taste.
Because it has
cool
like
introduction to Kong.
It has like a cleaner sepia look than like back in like Wizard of Oz.
Right.
When they did that sepia type color tone to the when they were in Kansas.
Yep.
This just is more of a slicker look to that. Kong Skull Island.
It was a good introduction to him, though. That was
cool.
Is. Oh, yes.
That's right. Loki's in this movie.
Forgot that Samuel L. Jackson's in this.
Motherfucker.
Samuel L. Jackson. There should be a movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
His grave needs to say motherfucker on it.
There should be a movie with Samuel L. Jackson where literally every second word is fuck or motherfucker. No, I don't mean I mean literally. So they just write a script.
That's all his dialogue?
That's all his dialogue. What fucker? You motherfucker. Everything, like everything. I know there's movies where he swears a lot. I'm talking about, I don't even know how you'd write dialogue like that made any sense. But it's not supposed to make sense. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. Blah, 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 blah.
What program are we using for this? Oh, you mean like what program is Dave using? Dave, what are you using? I forget. Stream.
What? Sorry, say again. You broke up there.
The program. What program do you use to stream? I forget.
Oh, this for us.
Someone was asking.
Yeah, for us, I used to use Wirecast for us, and then Wirecast was giving us some issues. So issues. I hate people who say issues and scheduled. The issue is, and then I moved over to just OBS for us. Because for whatever reason, Wirecast was giving us problems. And if you haven't noticed, very rarely does Two Dudes have any issues anymore. And that was for whatever reason.
Unless Laura Barnes decides to show up, you know.
Yeah, that's
true.
We
love her.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, there's Dan Connor.
But it was, yeah. So, but for McRae Live, I still use Wirecast. I bounce around between OBS and Wirecast.
I forget that he's in this too. And I just watched, over the weekend on Saturday night, I watched, or Friday night, was it? Straight Outta Compton. The guy who plays Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton. I forget that he's. Did you see Straight Outta Compton yet?
No.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie
on
NWA. But I forget this kid's name. He's a very talented actor. Really talented actor. And I forget that he's in Kong Skull Island. And this is the formation of Monarch, right?
Yeah. It's funny. Like I've seen this movie. I saw it once and there's nothing, I got to admit, I don't really remember. I mean, I remember bits and pieces of it, but I wasn't crazy on it. It's not a bad movie. Again, don't interpret that. Don't make leaps and bounds to mean that I think it's a terrible movie. No.
Dave hates it.
It's not. I know, right? It's not a terrible movie at all.
But take everything we say literally. Dave hates it.
I remember feeling like, meh, okay, that was all right. You know, and then there's Godzilla from 2014. It's like, meh, you know, and then I really enjoyed King of the Monsters, though. I thought that was exactly what these movies needed to be. So I'm really looking forward to Kong and
now let me ask you
Godzilla.
A question. Do you think with this adaptation of Kong, should we get the Empire State Building story, or no, leave that out?
No, leave that out because I mean,
I'm saying like as like a conclusion to this Kong story arc, should we conclude with that story? I mean, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
like if they gave him like one or two more movies and then they conclude it with the.
So are you saying like going back? Because I mean, it feels.
So I'm saying like so they do Godzilla versus Kong, and then let's say they give Kong one more movie, and then after that, like for his like trilogy, you know, whatever, they do the Kong Empire State Building story.
Right, because everybody knows that obviously that's how he dies.
Right.
I would say that, but then that you'd have to ask yourself. Well, look, it's the Black Christmas phone. It's a bunch of them. You'd have. I got Black Christmas on my mind. You would have to ask yourself then, do you want to, because both the original 1933 and the 1976 with Jessica Lange.
And 2005.
Well, there's 2005, but both,
or
sorry. The 1933 and the 2005 movie took place in the 30s. The 76 movie took place in the 70s.
True.
And it wasn't the Empire State Building, it was the Twin Towers. So what
so you could modernize it and do the Freedom Tower in New York. You could actually still do the Empire State Building because it's still there.
It's still there, but Kong is huge now.
Right, he'd be bigger than that building.
I don't know if he'd be bigger than it, but I mean, he's according to a Japanese poster I saw, Godzilla is, I think now he's like 100 and what is he? 100.
So climbing it really wouldn't be much of a challenge for Kong. The building probably couldn't support him.
No, Kong is like 100 something feet right now, which is nowhere near as tall as the Empire State Building. But it's weird because there's almost a perception there's a perception that's weird when you look at Kong and Godzilla. Just on they look huge compared to people, and yet when you look at them in some of the teasers and some of the trailers, they look like they're bigger than the buildings, but at the same time, when you read how big they actually are, they would be smaller than most of those buildings. I mean, 130 feet is tall, but 130 feet, I mean, Most skyscrapers are taller than 130 feet.
Well, how many feet is the Empire State Building? I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, hey, Google, how many feet is the Empire State Building? It's got to be like 1,000 something.
12,
oh, sorry. I'm thinking of it. Sorry. Hey, Google, how many feet is the Empire State Building? It's 300 something.
The Empire State Building is 381 meters tall.
No, it's 381 meters. Hey, Google, what is 381 meters in feet?
381 meters is equal to 1,250 feet.
Yeah, you were right. So about 1,200 feet. So,
well, no, I mean, Mr. Rice had said that in the chat room, and someone else is saying in the chat room that Godzilla is 380.
Oh, maybe he's 380. Okay, so I was.
That means Kong
380
would be,
feet.
Is right there.
Right, I was thinking meters. Right, I was thinking meters.
So
right,
that's still a decent climb.
So,
if you're 380 feet and you got to climb 1,250. I mean, you're climbing, almost 900 feet. I mean, it wouldn't be as an iconic of a climb like say like the 1933 or the Peter Jackson version of Kong climbing the buildings then, because he was much smaller. He was only 80 to 100 feet.
No. He was like 25, 30 feet.
So there you go.
He was, which is still huge. Like some people don't realize
big, but the perception of Kong climbing the Empire State Building in both those films still gives the Empire State Building this massive look. This version of Kong, I think you're right. You could do it, but I don't think it would look aesthetically, like the Empire State Building wouldn't have that tall, monstrous building look to it.
Because he's essentially almost half the height of the building. Not quite. A quarter of the height of the building. Three climbs and he's to the top.
Yeah. Really, you're right.
So it's and would his weight even, and he would look ridiculous up there. Like, because you have an ape in the original 1933 film, I believe he was 20 feet. I think in Peter Jackson's King Kong, he was 25, 30 feet, which you might say to yourself, wow, that's not very big. Well, no, it's huge. I mean, imagine going outside and seeing a 30-foot ape. Yeah, he's fucking huge. He's as tall as a tree. He's ginormous. He's huge. You'd be like, oh my God, this is insane. The new films that we're getting, they are like Greek, mythical gods, that's why they refer to them as titans, right? It's on another level to what these are, to what, especially for Kong. Godzilla was always actually in the realm of that size, but Kong was never actually that. And in the 1976 version, I think he was maybe like 80 feet tall or something like that. So again, tall, but not like what we see him here. Now I think Kong is like 300 feet or something like that. He's a smidgy, he's still a smidgy shorter than Zilla, but he's huge. And so you're right. I mean, it's kind of like,
which kind of sucks, because that would have been a nice bookend to a trilogy with this version of Kong, but that's where you lead it to, leading it to New York.
Right.
I mean, you could still do that. You just wouldn't, you wouldn't get him climbing the Empire State Building and shooting him down.
But then you have to ask yourself as well that in some ways, I hope the universe here hasn't Batman v Superman, Justice League 2017. I know all the fucking things that are being said about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but that's an anomaly. Okay, Zack Snyder could not have released a 4-hour movie in theaters, even if Snyder had finished Justice League in 2017. It would not have been the Justice League you're getting now. People are losing their minds saying, "Oh, it's so much better." Well, of course, because it's longer, so you have more time to develop characters. It's an anomaly. This isn't necessarily going to start a trend of 4-hour movies.
No, you probably would have done Snyder's 4-hour cut in 2 movies,
or possibly if the
they
studio
wanted
would have
to keep
allowed
everything
that.
in.
Right. If they want, which never happens. There's studio in here. There's again, I'm not going to get into it because we're watching this movie here, but there are anyway. It's a whole fucking thing. But that being said, what I mean by my statement of I hope they haven't Justice Leagued themselves, is because it almost felt like they peaked too soon. There was nowhere to go. So you have Kong. Kong's been in one movie. Superman was in one movie. Batman was in, and all of a sudden you have Batman v Superman. Nobody was able to get emotionally attached to these characters, which is why things felt weird and flat. It wasn't like the MCU where you had 22 movies and there was emotional attachment built up, right? So, and I know it's different. They're you know, they're monsters. But I wonder now, with taking a step back and doing Kong's arc, doesn't it sort of feel like Kong versus Godzilla is the culmination of their arcs? Like, it almost feels like it's the granddaddy, it's the big show. You know, it's the show, right? It's Kong versus Godzilla. This is the show. And then to then go back and tell Kong's story almost feels anticlimactic. Like, could you sell that?
I know they're planning doing another Kong movie.
Well, they are, but then it's like, where does it take place? Does it take place before? Does it take place after? You
can't go before. You can't, because you're not going to kill him off the Empire State Building.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The Godzilla storyline doesn't even fit. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, like, if Kong is around and he's in New York, where's Godzilla? You know, right. and where's everybody else? So it kind of feels like they should have waited for Kong versus Godzilla, you know, which they seem to be like kids in candy stores, and made that the end result of this big epic thing, you know, but I agree with you though. I'm not against the idea in principle.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's ways they can work around the New York storyline and still having that climactic moment. I mean, you may not get the Empire State Building, but maybe there is something they can do.
The Burj Khalifa in Dubai.
You know, well, no, I mean, you could still have it be New York. You just would have to maybe come up with an original ending. You know what I mean? Instead of having him falling off the top of the Empire State Building.
I understand. Yeah.
Which for me, to be honest with you, the ending for King Kong Peter Jackson for me is when him and Beauty are sitting up there watching the sunset, and then I shut it off. I don't know anything after that.
Well, there's a line.
For all I know, they're still up there chilling, watching that sunset.
I hate the line. Like, I get why they said this, but there's a line where Jack Black says, "It was Beauty that killed the beast."
Well, yeah, because that's from the original.
Of course. But I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was you fucking morons. It was the fucking planes. It was humans that killed Beauty. Like, I get the poeticness of what the line means, you know, is that, like, I get it. It was his lust and his infatuation that this, you know, he kept, because obviously the girl and the ape could never be together, right? So obviously they had to put a stop to that. But I'm just like, you know, like, no, it wasn't. Like, but I get it. I get it at the same time.
Yeah.
Imagine every line here. What up, fucking bitch? Fuck you, motherfucker. Bitch. You fuck. Get on that fucking boat, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, he's talking to Brie Larson, so she probably wouldn't allow that. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? Hey, she does it to herself. So that's all I got to say about that.
Jack Black's. You know what? I'm a big fan of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah, so am I. I watched that last week as well too. It's a real I think it's a good done movie. Remake of the original classic.
A little bloated in terms of its length.
3 hours.
Yeah, they might have tightened it up a little bit, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. Fucking people. It fucking sucks. No, you fucking suck. You fucking suck. No, you fucking suck. No, you fucking suck. You suck. Okay. No, you fucking suck. That's what.
Dave's having a stroke, folks.
No, this is what I hear when I see nonsense on the internet. When I see somebody writing nonsense, I hear in my mind.
Sounds like like the Charlie Brown teacher having a stroke now.
Maybe Charlie Brown's having a stroke. We're here. Where are we here? We're 18 minutes and 11 seconds into the movie here. They're getting a briefing.
Dr. Dre is
Dr. Dre.
I mean, look, I don't know his character in this, so I'm just gonna call him that. Hey, there's Eazy-E. I forgot Eazy-E's in this too.
Right.
The guy who plays Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton.
Yep.
So we got Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, we got Dan Connor, we got Loki, and we got.
Isn't this guy? Wait a minute. Isn't the guy up there at the map right now the army guy? Didn't he play the bad guy in The Invisible Man?
I don't. You know what, dude? I don't know. So don't say anything. I haven't seen it. I'm going to be watching Invisible Man this weekend. Finally.
Okay. Good.
I am making it my point to watch it because I actually I watched yesterday. I watched Doctor Sleep for the first time. I rented
you did.
It was available to rent for like 99 cents.
Yeah, I
was like, well, screw it. I'm gonna watch it.
I'm too busy. Did you like it?
Yeah. All I can say about Doctor Sleep is this: it's not The Shining. It's not. You're never going to capture what Kubrick was able to do with The Shining. But I will say they did a really good job of capturing Kubrick's essence at times.
Very good.
Some really good callbacks. But I definitely, like how The Shining has such an ambiguity feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't. This has a very much closure feel to it.
Right.
So I say that's the difference between the two, which that's where I give The Shining a bit of an edge because of that ambiguity of your interpretation of like, what does the ending mean with the photo there and Jack's there and all that stuff like that,
gotcha.
And I love that. That was one thing Kubrick did in almost all his films. He left you to think for yourself and come up with your own conclusion. Yeah. This had a pretty much beginning, middle, and end. You knew there's nothing left to be interpreted, but
right.
The moments where they brought you in and you were feeling kind of like, oh shit, little Kubrick here. I thought that was really cool. So I think it's enjoyable.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing it when I get around to it.
We'll get to that movie like next 5 years.
2056, I think.
2056, somewhere
2056, somewhere around there.
When Dave and I turn 99.
Yeah.
Then we'll watch it.
Yeah. 2078.
God, could you imagine? We're still here, 2078.
We're going to. I do love though in this movie, and it's in the trailer as well. I do love when they get to the island and they're flying the helicopter, and what's the line like? What the fuck is that or whatever? It's like it's an 8 or something like that. It's just can you because they did a really good job at the perspective, seeing seeing him in the, and it's a great shot. It's very very much Apocalypse Now. There's just some nice moments and some callbacks into the cinematography there where you see like the sunset and you see Kong, silhouetted against the sunset. Like there are some nice moments. There's nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't, and it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I've never seen it again. I watched it once 4 years ago and I never watched it again. And it, I don't know. For me to watch a movie again, because there's some really good movies I've seen that I don't watch for years, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just too busy, or I don't know. Like last night, I just watched for the first time because I just was relaxing because been so busy. I watched, which I did see in the theaters, and I did really like actually, A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick and what's her face, directed by Paul Feig. I actually thought that was a really good movie. When I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh, it was good. It was well done.
What kind of movie is it?
It's like a psychological thriller, but it's light, not like really deep. It's on the lighter side. It's got what's her face in it too, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, and I think you'd like it. It's directed by Paul Feig, and of course everybody's like, Paul Feig, he directed the stupid Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, but he also directed The Heat and Bridesmaids and Spy, which are all really good movies. I think he's actually quite talented, and but it's not a comedy. It's like a little thriller, but like on the lighter, not like an intense thriller like Shutter Island or something. But anyway, I'd already seen it, but I just was like, oh, I'll just watch this, and I just zoned out while I watched it, and it was good. It was good, but I rarely watch. It takes me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I there's some people that just watch movies like the same movie like 6 or 7, 8, 10 times a year, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
I do that with some movies, not like that many, but yeah. I will.
I used to do it as a kid, and I don't say that in a condescending way, in terms of like, oh, people who do that are kids. No, not at all. I remember as a kid, I used to watch the same movie, and a lot of us movie kids did. We'd watch the same movie, like I'd watch it, and then I'd rewind it and watch it again in the same day. Like, you know what I mean?
Or I'd watch it. My brother would do that. My brother did that a lot.
I did it all the time. I used to watch movies all the time. Maybe that's why I don't now. Maybe because I got my fix in when I was like 5. I don't know. I don't know. But
so I'm going to call it. This is the prequel to Straight Outta Compton as well too. This is before Eazy and Dr. Dre decided to go to Compton after dealing with Kong, and then they met Ice Cube and DJ Ren and DOC, and they decided to form a rap group.
That's it. That's what they decide to do. They decide to form a rap group.
It's a good. You should watch Straight Outta Compton. I think you would enjoy it. It's a good movie. And the guys that are like the actors in here that are in Kong Skull Island. This guy right here who's flying the helicopter. He plays Eazy-E. He did a really good job playing Eazy-E in that movie.
Great effects. I like the effects. You know, in this scene, it's great. Of course, I highly doubt these helicopters would make it through that storm. But, you know, I'll suspend my disbelief because I'm pretty sure these helicopters would get annihilated in this storm. As some do, I'm sure. I can't remember. Like, he would not... Can you imagine?
None of them would survive this.
None of them would. Look at this.
I'm not an aviation person, but I can rest assure you that I don't think these helicopters would make it through that type of a storm.
I don't even think you would go through. I think you would retreat. You would call it off.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Ah! Ah! But again,
and then again, who knows? Maybe, a helicopter expert can come in and chime in that it's possible.
Maybe. And it was the 70s. I mean, maybe they're all on acid.
Was going through it.
Well, they're all on acid, and that's what happens. One of them would fly out. Like, one of them, these doors are open on the side. One of them would, fly out. It's a bobblehead of Nixon.
Nixon's head bobbling around.
And look how quickly they come out of it. All of a sudden, that's just the sun. Of course, that is what happens.
Then we got that teal, orange, 70s look. Yep. They did a good job of recreating that look. I will definitely, I said that earlier, but I was really that's not an easy thing to do because like you said, you can oversaturate that look and it can look horrible. Yeah. They did a good job of capturing that and creating that. Even though we know we're watching digital, we're not watching film. They really did a good job. Like here, you can see the warmth, you can see the teal, you can see the greens blending very well together. It's not overly processed. Because I've seen some of those films where they try to create that and it's just overdone and it looks horrible. This looks natural.
I'm not seeing it too much anymore, but for about, I don't know how many years in the 2000s and from
that
2000
was very popular.
to 2009 or something, like every fucking Hollywood movie, they color graded in this orange aqua teal. And it was like, what the hell? Like it became almost like a
thing for a minute. And I'm glad it stopped.
Like a style, and it was like, what is this garbage? Like it's like, people, you don't, and it was like, why is Hollywood doing that? Like, you should know better. And that's even
like when Instagram first started, that was like the filters on Instagram that you would use in the beginning days before you did your own shit. You would use those types of orange tealy filters, and like everybody's account looked like the same thing.
That was a really cool optical illusion there, where the Firefly almost looked like
the Firefly, that was cool,
one of the helicopters, and then it rack focused and you realize it was the Firefly. I was like, I don't remember that. Again, there's not much I remember this movie. That was really cool
tune.
I mean, it's like people that make they don't know what they're doing when they're it's like those default filters, as you said, that people will put on their films sometimes. I see a lot of, aspiring filmmakers will sometimes do that. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You can't just take a filter and put it on everything, because every shot, lighting changes. And even in the same scene, you have to color grade every shot in the scene. Now, maybe you can take the color grade that you put on one shot in a scene and move it over to another shot in the same scene. You might be able to do that because the lighting may not change. But sometimes, especially if you're shooting outside in a less controlled environment, this, that sometimes lighting changes. And you need to color, even though there are two people talking, because we face this with It's Me, Billy. I mean, we have two people talking outside, but because it can take 2 or 3 hours to shoot the scene, the sun changes angles, and you got to color grade each, even though it's happening in the same moment, you have to color grade each shot individually to match and all that. And then I get it. It's a lot of work. And for people who don't know what they're doing, you just get a filter and you throw it on everything. But then it looks like it has a filter on it. And because it might match something, but then you go to the next shot. It's like, wow, what is this? Why is this? This is blown out now, or it's underexposed, or, but
boom.
Yeah, I love that. I love
I do like the fact that we don't have to wait very long to see Kong either. Like Godzilla 2014 made us wait for like
30. Well, we saw him actually at the very beginning of the movie when he in 1944. But I do know what you mean. Yes, but it was an epic reveal. Well, we're 30 minutes in. That's pretty good. And look at this. Can you imagine? This is how you go. Well, you're going out in a blaze of glory. But I love that he threw that tree and it just goes right through the helicopter. I think it's great. What a great moment. And the line too, like what or whatever he says. Yeah, it's great. Evil Alex says, color correction and lighting is the hardest thing for me in filmmaking. Yeah, it's certainly not easy. I mean, that's why there are professional colorists that, and listen, to go to a studio. Oh, I love that. I think they should have gone. I get why they didn't.
I get why they did it, yeah.
But I think it would have been cool to see him actually go into his mouth.
Absolutely.
Complete annihilation.
I love this. The silhouette shot.
Oh, it's a great shot. Very Apocalypse Now. Awesome. It's a great shot. You got to give credit is due. It's a great shot. Kong looks great, silhouetted against the look at his face. Like,
they all look like they're about to shit a brick.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine seeing this? Like, never seen this. What the fuck? But yeah, I mean,
dude, I'd be like, we need a bigger fucking copter, man.
And this is an epic shot too. The camera tilts up like this, seeing him there. It's great. It's a great shot. But professional colorists, like, I was talking to our DP because we're currently going through this obviously at the moment for It's Me, Billy, and there are studios in Toronto obviously that do that. That's what they do. But you can pay upwards of like over $1,000 an hour. You can pay upwards of that. And it can be, now obviously that depends, on the film and, all that, but it can be very expensive. It can be very expensive. And color grading is a, I mean, that's why you have specialists that do it, and it can be a lengthy process. It's not finding the look that can be difficult for the movie you want. It's matching every shot that can be tough. Yeah, Kong looks good. It's a young Kong here, though. So my question is, what has he been doing in the years between this and I guess maybe that's
chilling
what
and being king of his island?
So yeah, I guess so. So Tony, as a Kong fan, what do you want to see? Do you want to see Kong, like, to continue the Kong story after Kong versus Godzilla, or would you like to go back and maybe see, a sequel to Kong's, like, so what's he been doing?
I definitely think, I think Kong deserves a second sequel. I mean, Godzilla, we got two good Godzilla. Well, I like King of the Monsters better.
Same. But I mean, like,
good. The 14 one is good, but yeah, I think.
Do you want to see it before Kong versus, like, because there's like 35 years there or 40 years maybe.
It depends on, like, it's going to, that's a good question to answer almost after watching Kong versus Godzilla, because, are they going to fill in that gap between Kong Skull Island and Godzilla versus Kong versus Kong versus Godzilla, whatever the title is. I don't know. It all depends on what they're going to explain, what was going on during that time. Were there any other events happening like this? Mm-hmm. What happened directly after Loki and the girl there, Brie Larson, when they go back to Monarch? Was there another event that happened that's in similar like this, where Kong is defending his island again?
Right.
Do you have the New York incident and maybe he survives it? I mean, which totally changes the mythology of Kong.
It does.
I mean, do you go that far? Like, do you do that as the sequel, and instead of killing him, you have him survive? It leads up to, but no, because then from based on the trailers, he's captured on his island. Although you could have him survive New York, and he goes back to his island. They transfer him back there, and then they bring him back out of the island again. So I would like to see at least Kong get another sequel, possibly trilogy. As I said before, if they were going to end Kong in the third film, and if they wanted to go back to New York, there are creative ways that you can, still have the New York moment with this adaptation of Kong, even being 380 feet.
Right.
No, I mean, I don't think the Empire State Building would work, but you can still have something, a New York feel to it. The Freedom Tower would be one option, but again, I just don't think this version of Kong could literally, but then again, he's in the trailer standing on buildings and jumping off buildings, and he's giving Godzilla a headshot, unlike what Thor couldn't do.
That's a great shot there too. This whole sequence here is fantastic.
It's beautifully done. Even though we know we're looking at digital animation, I mean, they did a fucking badass job with it.
They did, and I gotta say that even like, it's a good question you bring up, because the real question then becomes, what kind of Kong is this? And like you said, we'll probably know more in the direction that they're going or what they want to give us when we see Kong versus Godzilla. At least I hope so, because
I do too.
Because, and Kong fans,
you're right. What did he do? Just sit around and twiddle his thumbs? Like what was going on during the King of the Monsters thing? Like Kong, did Kong just be like, "Fuck you, bitch, I ain't going"?
That's what I mean. But also too, we have to remember that in every iteration of King Kong, whether it was 1933, 76, or 05, which were and King Kong lives aside, those movies that tell the story of Kong, we have to remember that King Kong, and I don't say this as a Godzilla fan, because I know Tony will agree. I say this from a narrative point of view, and I know there's the 62 King Kong versus Godzilla movie, but in the actual history of the story, King Kong was never meant to be a titan. He was never meant to be a godlike, creature. That's why he was 25 feet, 30 feet, 60 feet. He was just an anomaly. It was like, oh my God, what is this? And then the story becomes about greed and money and love. And because he's a primate, he takes this interest in this girl, in this female. And it's like, I mean, obviously we're two different species, even though we share 99% of the DNA. Well, I can't be with you, and for obvious reasons. And it becomes really, that's what the Kong story is really all about. It's a tragedy in many ways, right? It's a tragedy. And he's ginormous. He's huge. But he was never designed to play in this universe necessarily. So what did they do? Okay, in the writer's room, they changed that. They made a story that he could fit into it. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, what kind of Kong is this? What is Kong's story here? Because is it the same story as it was in 33 and 76 and 05? Because that's a very different Kong. That's a very different story and a very different direction they're going in, a very different message. It doesn't mean you can't still carry the same message, but like what kind of Kong is this here? So you're right, Tony, when you say that it'll be very interesting to see what kind of Kong we apparently are having here in Kong versus Godzilla. Are there similarities? Did they bring some things over? Did they bring some characteristics over narratively and story, or have they abandoned it because of and are they still growing? I mean, that's another thing. Is Godzilla still growing? Is Kong still growing? Are they going to make another, rematch film in 2026 and they're going to be like, 900 feet? I mean, what are the end game? No pun intended, end game, but what are they doing?
You would almost, if you were to do like a third Kong, if you did a sequel to Kong again, you'd obviously need to come up with a really good story. And I know they're planning to. I know they're planning. In fact, after the release of this, I know that that's in the works, like really quickly, that they're going into another Kong movie.
Yeah.
The third one, you could bring Godzilla and Kong back together, but this time, instead of fighting each other, they're united because there's a bigger common enemy. There's a bigger threat. And and you end it like that, where now no one really, there's no side. They're together. You have like their end game, no pun, but you have their end game moment where okay, they fought each other first. Kind of like Captain America: Civil War with Iron Man versus Cap. But then you have the band get back together, and they face their version of Thanos.
Yeah, I mean? Frank says this here, and I don't know if he's being satirical, but he actually is right. What is Kong's motivation? Because in the original, now obviously I know in the trailers for Kong versus Godzilla,
well, it's an alpha thing between Kong and Godzilla. They're both alphas.
Yes,
so you put them together, they're going to fight each other.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but in terms of separate away from that, right? What is the story of Kong? And I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is that we know now. I know they introduce a little girl that he has some sort of connection with. Okay, we'll see whether
I have big feelings on that.
Yeah, we'll see whether we buy into that or not.
Right.
But in terms of on his own, in the standalone films, in the origin stories of Kong, in the original stories, it was about an infatuation with the girl. Okay, well, let's say that's not it. Well, what is the story around Kong? He's just this gigantic ape that people want to kill. I mean, and then he's got to it's like, but that's kind of what Kong Skull Island is in some ways. And so they're going to have to, you're right. This is a very new Kong, because they've had to make him huge, and they've had to change some of the things that made the Kong story what it was in order to bring Kong into the universe. And that's okay. I'm okay, fine. All right, cool. But what's his story?
From Dark Knight? You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Something like that.
Is that from the Dark Knight? I've heard that in many things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Two-Face.
Yeah. Two-Face says that. Yeah.
Says that in Dark Knight.
I
don't think that's word for word what the lines are.
It's something like that, yeah.
You could do something like that where Kong dies the hero before becoming a villain, right? You could do something like, where he dies a hero in their end game of this universe that they've created. There needs to be, after Godzilla, there has to be another threat, and it has to be a threat that makes sense,
Well,
it's not far-fetched. I mean, look, we humans tend to screw shit up all the times, and we, take animals from their from their natural habitats and put them in captivity. So, you could have I would hate to rehash the Jack Black storyline. When I'm saying Jack Black, I mean that character, because we've seen that character with the 1933. Charles Grodin played that character in the 76 version. It's just a different version of that character,
right?
And then Jack Black's playing in the remake. You could have another character like that who becomes obsessed with wanting to capture Kong.
I almost feel like you would have to, because
how do you capture a 380-foot fucking ape?
Well, because Tom Ungurian says here, like Tony said, it's an alpha thing. That's true in Kong versus Godzilla, yes, but in a Kong standalone, that's what it comes. Because if Kong is faced with another threat again, then it just becomes like, basically what I'm trying to say is, Kong has the story of King Kong, the original story, 33, 76, 05. There's actually a substance to the narrative that the Zilla stories never did have. Now that doesn't mean that the Godzilla movies weren't fun and quirky or whatever, but they're just different. It's different. There's a heart. There's a whether you find it weird or not. It's because he's a primate. Right? It's because he's a primate. We can identify with primates because they're so similar to us. And of course, depending on what you believe in evolution, all that kind of stuff. But certainly it is a fact that we are, 99% or 98% DNA we share with, chimps. I mean, that's insane. And, so there's almost an affection that you naturally have for seeing King Kong, even in computer generated form. There's almost this emotional kind of thing you have to him because he's an ape, you know what I mean? And that's fine when he's fighting a monster in a versus film, but on his own.
Oh, you know what you could do?
What is the story without it just being another run of the mill, kind of thing. And I just don't want it to run sort of thin. And, you know, and the thing is too, that I need to be convinced on is that at the end of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla was king of the monsters. He was the good guy. He was the good guy in Godzilla. He was the good guy in King of the Monsters. Why is he the bad guy? Now, obviously, I would assume that the writers are smart enough to know that there has to be a damn good reason as to why, and there better be a good reason as to why. So many people have said, no, that's not Godzilla, it's Mechagodzilla. I'm telling you, it's not Mechagodzilla. It would make no sense for Godzilla to show up in the last half of the movie. Then it's not Kong versus Godzilla, it's Kong versus Mechagodzilla, and they wouldn't do that. I'm telling you, it's not Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla
now, what if they
shows
do
up.
that?
Well, but that doesn't make any sense. Then why call the movie Kong versus Godzilla? Just to
Didn't make any sense why Doomsday showed up in Batman v Superman.
But the movie wasn't
Doomsday
called
did.
Batman v Superman versus. But the movie wasn't called Batman v Doomsday. It was called Batman versus Superman. It's okay to have It's okay to have Mecha Godzilla show up. What I'm saying is that there are some people that think that Godzilla, the Godzilla that is fighting King Kong in the movie, is actually Mecha Godzilla. It's not the real. Godzilla at all. And Godzilla shows up in the last half of the movie to save Kong, and but that doesn't make any sense. Then it's not Kong versus Godzilla. That he doesn't beat Godzilla at all. He doesn't. Then nobody. That doesn't make any sense. I know people want to think that because they're like, he's acting strange. I don't know why people are
thinking that. If Mecha
I can tell you why they're thinking it.
He's showing up.
He does show up in this. We know this.
Throw down against Kong and Godzilla.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But the reason why people want to think that is because narratively, it's strange. Why all of a sudden? There's got to be another reason. I bet you it's not really Godzilla. It's like, well, that doesn't. It's Kong. It is Godzilla. The question is that why? It's the why is he quote unquote the bad guy all of a sudden, or is it a matter of what I assume it will be? It's a misunderstood reason because you can't reason with an animal like that necessarily. You don't understand what he's doing. It's not like he can go, oh guys, don't worry, I'm really not bad. I'm just doing this. He can't do that. So he's an instinctual whatever, and he's doing what he's doing, and the humans hopefully will catch on eventually and go, oh, which I think is where they're going. But it better be a good reason. It better be justified.
I gotta share it.
Better be justified.
Where it's Millie Bobby Brown. She's driving. I think she's driving, or I don't know, whatever. It says, the
fact that she can drive now is insane.
I know, it's crazy. That's crazy how fast time is flying.
Jesus.
But we don't know why, but he's turning against us humans. And someone said, yeah, because Godzilla's tired of everyone canceling shit.
That's funny. That's funny.
I laughed when I saw that. I was like, yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. And she does say that. And the reason why she says, but it was alluded to, it was foreshadowed in King of the Monsters. Believe it or not, it was foreshadowed in King of the Monsters when that Asian, I forget the guy's like, thank God he's on our side. And the Asian woman says, for now.
For now.
It was totally foreshadowed in King of the Monsters. It just better be justified. And this isn't because I love Godzilla. I would think the same thing if it was King Kong. I'd be like, well, it better be fucking justified why Kong is bad. You know what I mean? I'd be like, you better, because I'm always thinking narratively, I need to believe this. It's got to make sense. I don't want it to be just, oh, he just got up on the wrong side of the bed. We don't know. And the fact that they even have that line, Godzilla's acting really weird and we don't know why and we got to figure it out. I mean, they're setting it up that there's a logical explanation here that he's either being controlled. Maybe he's being controlled by Mechagodzilla. Some people have put out into the ether. Maybe there's some weird brain fucking thing going on. I don't know. And maybe that's what it'll be. But I better believe it, because if it's some half-ass lazy thing, I'm just gonna be like, oh, come on.
The only thing I want to get from this is just really good action, between Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah.
Some good fight sequences. Whoever's the winner at the end of it, whatever, is what it is. I mean, both monsters are obviously going to go on. They're going to have their own films after this. And
yep.
Like I said, I think the best idea would be to conclude it with both of these monsters as like an end game moment where, okay, they fought each other first, but now they realize they need to fight to save the planet from something even bigger. You know,
Right.
they team up and whatever. Hell, you can even have Kong die in that one, and he dies in New York protecting people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different twist to the New York story without him falling off like the top of the Empire State Building and we humans killing him.
Right.
So you could play that. You could play with that story arc a little bit, and Kong sacrifices himself to save the humans.
Yeah.
Or even save Godzilla, whatever. I mean, you
Yep.
can do whatever you want at that point. But I think that's how I would conclude this. Once you get to the end of these two monster stories, I would conclude it with like an endgame approach and just have them team up, fight a bigger threat. Maybe it is Mecha. Maybe Mecha is the bigger threat. Maybe it's Mecha and, a couple other monsters. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, and you know what?
There's a shit ton of monsters out there. When you saw that in King of the Monsters.
Well, it's true, and maybe there's a monster they create for it.
Or
maybe,
that we humans create that,
or that comes from, like, I know, King Ghidorah or King Ghidorah obviously was supposedly not from Earth. And but I think he's dead now because obviously he was the big baddie, and
yeah, I mean, based on what we saw,
which I love King Ghidorah, or King Ghidorah for technical people out there. But I love that monster. I would love to get a fucking.
Oh man, one of my favorite shots in that film is when he's standing on top of the volcano
and doing the whole thing. Oh,
yeah,
I know.
Such a good
awesome.
Shot. Like,
he was awesome. I remember him as a guy in a suit in the old Toho films from the 70s. He was an arch nemesis. He's like him and Gigan essentially are Godzilla's like nemesis kind of. But
yeah, you got Mecha Ghidorah too. So there's a lot of
things you could do.
Options they could do.
There's a lot of things you could do
for an endgame type movie where Kong and Godzilla are doing everything they can to save the world. Kong sacrifices himself, dies in New York, whatever. Because they haven't gone to New York yet. They've gone to San Francisco, they've gone to Boston and the island here, and I think in this one they're honoring the 62 Japanese movie where I think they're fighting in Japan. Based on what I'm watching.
No, they're fighting. It looks like, based on the skyscrapers, it looks like Hong Kong, China.
Isn't that Japan?
No, Hong Kong is its own separate state. It's China, essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I love this dude. This dude always cracks me up.
Yeah.
You ever see him walk hard?
No.
Oh, no. Dude. It's the parody movie to Walk the Line. You gotta see it. It's hilarious. The guy here, I forget his name. He's in Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell. John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you've got to see Walk Hard. It's fucking. Have you seen Walk the Line with Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah, years ago. Yeah. Yep.
It's a parody to that. It's
cool.
Fucking hysterical.
Cool. Yeah. Forgot what I was going to say now.
Dewey Cox. That's right. Dewey Cox was his name in Walk Hard.
Yeah, John C. Reilly's the one. I don't know if he said it already or not. My volume's a little low, but I think he's the one in the movie that says, "That's Kong. He's king around here."
Yeah, no, he's about to. They're entering.
Oh, here we go.
All the drawings and
oh,
and
right. Yeah, Kong and Godzilla team up, and they get rid of all the humans on Earth. I'd be down for it. Just get rid of all of us. Let's just start over. Planet's a cesspool of garbage.
Tell me how you really feel.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, we're reaching all new kinds of stupidity now with what was it? What's been canceled since you and I did the last show? Mr. Potato Head, Pepe Le Pew, Speedy Gonzalez, Dr. Seuss. I'm like, okay, we're at Mount Everest level of stupidity now.
Well, I think what bugs people. I mean, obviously, yeah. I think the cancellation of cartoon characters is ridiculous.
It's hilarious. I'm like, dude, you got a lot of time on your hand, bro. If you fucking. But I think this shit.
But I think rational.
Yeah, this is when he says it. By the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's king around here. I think what frustrates rational, and there are irrational people out there, but certainly what I find frustrating about that whole cancel situation is the lack of consistency. It's just, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I've
canceled culture, meaning I don't even pay attention to it anymore.
No, I don't either. I just see blurbs that show up on social media, but it's the lack of consistency. If you're going to see, it's very tribal, and it's very political, and it's very, us versus them. And I just don't get I've never.
I also think it's attention. I never get involved with that.
Oh, sure it is. Of course
it is. Very much attention.
And it's manufactured. There's manufactured rage. There's manufactured, outrage. Of course there is. There's 100%. But I tend to I've always been this way my whole life. I tend to always ride the middle. And I find that if you ride the middle, it's the best place to be. You don't get
I ride the middle of normalcy, not stupidity.
Well, of course. But I mean, in terms of all this,
you're not going to sit here and tell me someone's not going to convince me that Speedy Gonzalez, a fucking cartoon mouse, is offensive. Like, whatever.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. And so, and
Le Pew, I love you.
Yeah,
isn't that what he always said? He was all about loving somebody. I haven't seen Looney Tunes cartoons in forever. Yeah,
it's the overcompensation of everything too. It's just ridiculous. Oh, here comes the Kong. Like, it's not genuine at all. All this cancel. It's not genuine at all. It's all overcompensating. Here comes the fight. The fight. Yes, there's an epic fight. Got to have Kong have an epic fight. And I'm sure that I got to say though, the T-Rex fight in Peter Jackson's 05 movie is pretty fucking good too.
Peter Jackson, except the only thing is that girl would have been straight up dead.
A lot of them would have been dead.
Broken back, broken everything. The way she was getting whipped around in his hand.
It is true. Like when they're running away from all those like raptor animals or whatever.
Yes.
Like they would have been trampled on and fucking dead. Absolutely dead.
I tell you what, though, if cancel culture wants to get on canceling some shit, why don't you get on to like some important things, like how about canceling SeaWorld and getting those fucking animals out of that type of captivity and back in their natural habitat? I can get behind shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not stupid shit like cartoons.
Zach Gaxiola says, does the 113-minute runtime for Godzilla vs. Kong worry you? I personally worry about pacing issues because of the short runtime. I was hoping for
13 minutes, so that's just under 2 hours, right?
I was hoping for 220, 230 max. Your thoughts? Well, first of all, Zach, right, as Tony said, that's not short. 113. Most movies are not
under 2 hours.
Yeah, most movies are not 2 hours long. And I understand what you're saying. I can intellectualize what you're saying. And one thing I have noticed about fandom, and since doing this channel, is this inherent need and worry about a film's length when it's not 2.5 hours long or 3 hours long. For whatever reason, I think a lot of fans feel that the benchmark and the lowest bar for a movie to be even good, it has to be at least 2 hours long. It's like films that say, no, it has to be rated R, or it has, and it's like, I can understand, like I get what they're saying, because they feel they put their thoughts, they project their thoughts on what they think the movie needs or what they want to see in the movie, and therefore they come to the conclusion that in order for me to see that and feel good about that, I think you need this much time. And in reality,
it's 7 minutes under 2 hours.
I mean, that's 7 minutes under 2 hours. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
good.
That's
and as long as it's a good 113 minutes. I mean, if we get a good, action pack, it's not a lot of fill-in scenes before we get to Kong and Godzilla fighting. I mean, if we're watching these two go at it back and forth for, let's say, 95 of those minutes, which I'm probably asking for way too much. I don't think that's going to be the case. But if that were the case, I would be very happy with that, because I'm only getting like barely 30 minutes of fucking, regular scenes. According
to Adam Wingard, I think the fight between they fight a couple of times, but the big epic fight. I figured
that much, that we're going to get a couple of good fights out of that.
The big epic fight, I think, is something like 15 minutes long or something, or 20 minutes long or something ridiculous like
fight
that.
In Tokyo.
in Hong Kong, I think.
Oh, sorry, Hong Kong. I'm gonna keep calling it fucking Tokyo.
But what people have to understand is that you can have a 90-minute movie that feels very slow. You can have a 2-hour film,
Godzilla 2014,
that feels very fast. I don't know how long the 2014 film was, but think of Halloween. Okay, it's 90 minutes. It's 91 minutes long. The original Halloween, right? That's a slow-paced film.
Okay, that's the worst thing in the world ever to do. By the way, you would never bring your film and have it out in the light like that to put it into your fucking camera because you just exposed your fucking.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you wouldn't do that.
Jesus Christ! Like, what the hell?
It's a big.
You would never do that. Anyway, go ahead.
But I was just saying that I understand why people get hung up on runtimes. I can understand it, but just know that there are, unless you hear that Kong versus Godzilla is 73 minutes long, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Look at some of your most beloved favorite movies of all time. Go look at the runtime.
The movie we're gonna watch here probably in the next couple months or two, Host. That's not even an hour, and it's a fucking really good 55 fucking minutes. Like really good.
Right.
They did a great job on that.
Yeah, but I mean, go look at most movies are most of the movies you probably love. Okay, and I'm talking about not horror movies. Horror movies generally, unless you're Dr. Sleep, of course, which is more of an epic. But your traditional run-of-the-mill horror movies that everybody gets all crazy about, like your Freddy and your Jason and your Elms, yeah, those are like 90 minutes long. Yeah. They're not long films. Now, again, I understand in something like Kong versus Godzilla, you may think that, no, I think this thing needs to be like 2.5 hours. And it's like, but, the old Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, none of those were 2.5 hours long. None of the Back to the Future movies were 2.5 hours long. So, and you can get a lot in there. Most of the Marvel movies are not 2.5 hours long. I know Endgame was, but again, that's the culmination of a 22 film series. It was 3 hours long, actually. But I'm not worried at all. 113 minutes? No. If they had said it was 90 minutes or 85 minutes, I might be like, that's a little strange. That's kind of strange. But 113 minutes, that's just shy of 2 hours? No, I think we're fine. Because
Kong found his beauty.
Yep. Doesn't give a fuck.
Stay away, Kong.
No,
you don't want this kind of trouble.
Did you see that? He totally snubbed her. He looked at her and is like...
yeah, I can see you're nothing but trouble. I'm going.
Yeah, that's what he did. He totally snubbed her. Snubbed her.
Didn't pick her up. Didn't take her along for the ride. He was like, nope, I'm not taking you with me.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's like Halloween Kills. What I want out of that this year is I just want to enjoy a good Halloween film. Two, I hope it's if it's is what they're hyping this up to be. I expect Michael to go fucking batshit crazy and fucking killing people left and right. That's what I'm expecting.
He will. Okay, so look at this.
What?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? The very first Indiana Jones film. It's a classic. The one where he searches for the Ark of the Covenant. I think we all can agree that movie it's a classic. It's epic. And a lot of stuff happens in that movie. And it feels really well paced. And there's good exposition. And there's good action, right? It feels long. And it's 115 minutes long. So it's just 2 minutes longer than, Kong versus Godzilla. So again, I mean, most of your beloved movies, like I said, when we go back and we look at the runtimes, I know films have gotten probably a bit longer over the years, but most movies don't, if they hit 2 hours, most movies are not 2.5 hours long. Let's just put it that way. Most movies are not 2.5 hours long. It takes if a movie is 2.5 hours long, that's I don't say it's rare, but it's not the norm. Most movies are probably 90 to 100 to 2 hours. And there's reasons for that too. Pacing is one. There's also, you have to remember that when a movie is 3 hours long, that also cuts down on when theaters were open, that also cuts down on how many times a movie can play during the day in a movie theater, because of how longer the movie is.
Yeah.
They factor that in as well. With streaming, it's irrelevant, but.
Hey, here's a fun little fact. I don't remember what scene it was in The Shining, but there's a connection between The Shining and Raiders of the Lost Ark. The state soundstage that they were filming The Shining in, when they literally had to finish, like Kubrick was pushing it, which Kubrick was doing what Kubrick does, taking 5,000 takes.
Right.
But whatever. But they were under a deadline, and they almost surpassed the deadline because Raiders needed to come in and use the soundstage to film the snake pit scene.
Fascinating. I didn't know that. You know what? Actually, I think I did hear something about that.
I was watching because I watched The Shining after I watched Doctor Sleep. I was like, fucking, I'm watching The Shining. Which is a shining moon. And then I was watching some of the extra featurettes on there. Yep. And in the extra featurettes, they were talking about that, how they filmed on the same soundstage together.
Fascinating.
Back to back.
Very cool. That's cool.
I can't wait till we do The Shining.
Yeah, Shining's going to be good. The Shining. The Shinning. The Shinning.
Shinning.
Does anybody want to watch The Shinning?
A lot of weird. That's like one of those walking sticks. Those
they've got the creatures in here. They were very creative and created some original creatures.
Yeah,
of course, like these. I forget what C. Reilly calls them in this movie.
Oh,
they're the Northern Lights.
The Northern Lights.
Have you ever seen the Northern Lights? Because you're there. I mean, you're closer than me.
Yes, but I'm in Southern Ontario, so our.
Well, I didn't know if you've ever ventured up.
No, not that far. No, no. Well, I've been up to. I mean, the furthest north I've been is to just outside Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is about a 14.5-hour drive away from where I am, and it's very north. Not like Arctic north, but I mean it's in very northern part of Ontario, and I've been up there. My uncle lives up there. I have a sister that lives up there. They've seen the Northern, or at least my uncle has, from there. But it's again you almost got to go where the Inuit live. Like you almost have to go like really far north. I mean you can see them from down here, but it's not. I don't usually. It's very rare. It's very rare. Because we're still although we're if you look at where Toronto is positioned on a map, we're actually the same elevation as a lot of some of the states, like the same, because Ontario comes down like this and we're kind of down here. And then if you just draw a line across, we're actually the same. But anyway, it's just how we're positioned. But no, to answer your question, I've never seen them live.
Brie Larson.
I'd like to see them in Iceland. I think I'd like to see them, or Norway.
Yeah,
one of those two places. That's where I'd like to experience seeing them.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
You also have to remember too, in regards to
Loki's
runtimes,
sitting here talking to Captain Marvel.
Well, this is part of the MCU. I mean, this is really where they began. They began their love story. They began their love story in the 70s. That's why they haven't aged. They drank the serum. That's why they haven't aged. He went off to become a bad guy. She became Captain Marvel. And this is really the first MCU movie right here is Kong Skull Island. And that's what people don't really realize that.
Well,
they don't understand
I didn't see Captain Marvel, but I think Captain Marvel, isn't that a time travel movie of sorts?
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
No, I didn't see it.
But in regards to runtimes too, people have to remember that if you have a runtime that is longer, if you let's say you have a movie that's 2.5 hours, there's got to be things. It has to be justified. Is this just filler? Can we say this in a shorter period of time without losing impact? I don't know where this. I mean, I do understand actually why. I can intellectualize the why, but I think fans have to start understanding that longer. I was about to say something that could be totally seen as an innuendo, but longer run time. I'll just have to add that doesn't necessarily mean better.
That's true, because you could be sitting and watching a 2+ hour boring ass movie.
100%. Kong. King Kong. Queen Kong. What if Kong is have they checked to make sure that he's a dude? Do we know he's a dude?
Well, 2021, he can identify however he wants, right?
It's true. That is true. It's true. It's totally true. He could identify as a zebra if he wanted to, I guess. And funny, this movie didn't do, I mean, it didn't do terrible. Let me just see here. Kong.
Actually, the movie's moving along pretty fast. It's only got 50 minutes left in it.
Yep.
It's not slow paced at all.
No, it's good paced. So Kong Skull Island cost $185 million to make. So let's double that. So yeah, I'm in my calculator out here. So I'm going to triple it. 85. I'm going to 2. Okay, so times 2, 370. But so let's say it cost 500 million. About 500 million we consider marketing. It made 566.7. So it probably broke even. It probably just broke even if it did. So it wasn't a huge success. But it wasn't a colossal failure either.
No.
But that's 560.
I expect. Well, no, actually, I don't.
That's 566.
I was just about to say I expect Godzilla versus King Kong or Kong to do really well, but I'm like, wait, hold on, they're not even open.
No, well, it'll be interesting to see sort of how they judge it. You know,
it's not. I will say it's not, whatever that Godzilla and Kong versus Kong does at the box office. It's not fair, you know, because you're talking about most theaters aren't even open.
Yeah, it's not fair for anyone.
A lot of people are not going to the theater. A lot of people are going to sit home and watch it. I'm going to have to cave in and get HBO Max because it's not going to be playing in any of the theaters around me because they're not open. So
yeah, I got to find out where they're going to play it here because HBO Max isn't in Canada yet. So
yeah, which is so weird that like
it is.
You're releasing something on an app that's not available to the fucking world. Okay.
Yep.
That's a whole fucking another conversation in itself.
Yep. Oh, it's dumb. It's completely dumb. Well, but there are other, like there are
I get
other...
it, but you know what I'm saying? It should be on a universe. I said this, all the movie studios need to fucking do is put their big dick egos aside for a moment, create a universal app for everyone around the world.
Yeah. You
all share your profits, okay? You charge us whatever, $20 a month or something like that. You know, most people are spending more than that going to the movies anyways. You know, $20, $25, whatever. You get all the new releases. Studios fucking share the profits. There you go. I mean, the fact that when you're telling me this, and other people have DM'd me and told me that they're not going to be able to watch it because HBO Max isn't available where they live. And I'm like, this is the most asinine thing ever. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Again, the Snyder Cut is, I see people talking about the Snyder Cut, it being 4 hours.
That's on HBO Max, right?
It is, but it
I guess
will
I'm gonna get to watch that soon.
On Thursday. But it's 4 hours long. But people have to remember that's an anomaly. It's not, you know, it's
Titanic's 3 hours, a little over 3 hours. And when was the last time we've seen a 3 hour film besides Avatar, right?
But I mean that Zack Snyder.
And I don't even know. Is Avatar 3 hours? I've never seen it.
Avatar is, yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. It's James Cameron. I figured that much. Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me of the reaction to the Snyder Cut that people are having. Now, that doesn't mean longer is better. I mean, you could have a 4 hour movie that's absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And
well, they used to have back in the day, like when our grandparents were younger, you know, like those episodic films like the 10 Commandments and all those other films that were like over 3+ hours.
Yeah.
They would literally have intermissions.
They would.
Like a 5-minute intermission.
They would.
People would get up from the theater and, you know, whatever, go to the bathroom, get popcorn, whatever, refreshments, and then go back and watch it. You know, so back in the heydays of filmmaking, they would make Gone with the Wind, right? Isn't that like almost a 4 hour film?
Yeah, it's long. It's long.
You know what I mean? So like, but like you're saying, I agree with you. 4 hour films nowadays is not common. You break it up into 2 movies. You know what I mean?
No, and it's not common. Like, I hope fans understand that. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Is it a win for fans? Yes, from a certain point of view.
Not to be all Obi-Wan like.
I mean, yes, it is from a certain point of view, but there's a caveat to it. It's not. It's like, oh,
dude's just getting shred.
Oh,
Ben-Hur is 4 hours. You're right.
That's great.
Alex. Yeah,
that's
like
great.
All those movies back in the day, man, were like long films.
That's great.
But we don't do that stuff anymore because people's attention span can barely last 2 hours.
And again, as I was, as I was saying that, I hope people don't mistakenly think that this is going to become a trend, that you can just hashtag something you want and you'll get it. And, I hate to be the party pooper here, but there's a very specific reason why you were quote unquote given, which you weren't given it, because if you were owed it, so many fans feel that they were owed it. And, when you are owed something, you don't have to pay for it. Why? Because you're owed it. And if they really cared about fans in the ways that some fans would like to think they do or should, they would have released it online for free for you to watch. But that's not how you do business, right? That's not business. So yes, if it wasn't for fans demanding it, maybe, sure. But they waited until they could reap the benefits of millions of dollars from you before they decided to do that. And they realized that, hey, you know what, HBO, let's do this. Because I remember reading the quote from Warner Media or whatever, from some guy saying, well, we really wanted to do this for the fans. I was like, fuck you do for the fans. Get out of here. It's political cinematic rhetoric. We know why you did it. If it was really about the fans, you would have done it 3 years ago or whatever the case was.
I'm happy that Snyder's getting a chance to complete what he started.
Sure,
we all know what happened with
he was paid.
His kid? Something happened to his kid, right? Where he had to stop filming.
Well, yes, but there's more to it than that. I think
that was a big part of why.
It's a big part of it, but Warner Brothers also fired him. Let's be serious because of let's be honest, because they weren't happy with what he was dishing out. And so, yes, it's a win for the fans, but I see fans, I just want them I just think expectations need to be in check. If a studio thinks they can exploit you for money, then they'll do it. But just because you feel you're owed something doesn't mean you're going to get it. It's a business. And that's why I always say, once fans start to understand the kind of relationship they have with studios, the less perplexing the decisions that studios make will be. That doesn't mean that there will never be any perplexing, where you're like, well, that doesn't make, even I am like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But the more and more you'll go, yep, I understand why they're doing that. Because I see fans all the time. I don't understand this. I don't get this. Why are they doing this? Why are they? Because they care about your wallet. They care about your money. They don't care about you. And some people say, yeah, but if they do this, if they did this, we'd make more money. It's like, well, maybe I can understand how on paper that I get it. If you deliver on nostalgia, you'll make more money. But there are marketing departments and statistical departments that look at, stats and trends and all this that sometimes say otherwise. Like I've often said that the reason why they show more in a trailer is because more people go to see the movie. You may hate it, but there is actual evidence that says if we show more in a trailer, it will make more money or more people will go to see it. They follow these kinds of things. It's marketing, it's manipulation. And so I just want people to understand that, yes, it's a win for fans in so much of the fact that you were loud. You were loud and you didn't stop. And that's good. That's great. But if you were really owed it, they would have just given it to you. So you're not really getting what you're owed. They're allowing you an opportunity to see it, which is great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's great that he got to complete it. It's great that fans are getting a 4-hour epic of what they feel they were owed. Sure, okay. But you still have to pay for it. And Warner Brothers, in the end, is going to make millions of dollars. But that's business. That's business. And now there are some fans that understand, well, yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, but just understand then you can't then get online and go, release the Lucas cut, release the this cut, release the that. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You can't just do that. It's business. And I always say that. I say, understand you're not in a romantic relationship with the studios. You're in a business relationship with the studios. You know, so just understand that. And that's why you see that's why you go, that doesn't make any sense. You know, it's because, you know, no, to the heart, it doesn't. To the wallet, it does. Frank says, Dave said the same thing while making It's Me, Billy to his fans. Can you imagine if I said that? Oh my God.
Oh man.
That'd be awful. Frank. Frank's funny. But yes, Darren is correct. It's getting great reviews, which is great. I would love, now again, somebody asked me.
When's it come out? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah. Somebody asked me if I was going to see it
sooner than and watch that.
But the thing is that I'm not the best person to ask because I haven't even seen Justice League. So I might watch it and be like, yeah, this is great, but I'm not the best person to ask. I've seen some people, it's getting positive reviews, but at the same time, and again, I don't say this as a party pooper. I say this actually to try and be as objective as possible. I would love to know from somebody, I would love to hear somebody, and there's a few people that I listen to that I'm going to tune in to hear their thoughts. And I understand that it's hard to remove all emotional attachment. I totally get it. Like, come on, you know, we're human, right? Totally understand. But I would love to hear as objective of a review as I possibly could of the Snyder Cut, because I do know that there are fans that have been waiting years, that there is definitely going to be that nostalgia, rose-colored glasses for a lot of hardcore fans that want this. And then sometimes it's like, well, is it really that good? Or is it just that you're getting what you want and there's so much more exposition and it feels more fleshed out and more full? And is it really, now, is it going to be that much? Is it going to be light years ahead of the 17
Your
movie?
followers in
Yes.
the chat room want the Bruce Dale cut of It's Me, Billy.
Well, Bruce and I are we've cut the film together, so what you're getting is our vision. So we wrote the movie together, we produced the movie together, we directed the movie together, we cut the movie together. So everything that will be released has also gone through Bruce as well. There's no decision I've made that, or there's no decision that we've made without the approval of the other person. So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
you
as
have to
far
do.
as like when you were saying like about Justice League, like I'm in the I don't look at those movies through the same goggles that the diehard comic book fans do. So I enjoyed Justice League. I don't have any beef with it. You know, it's a superhero movie. I don't know the continuity of these characters. My knowledge is very little in the Batman. That's the only comic book world that I lean towards, and will read some of the Joker comics that I have. And that's really it. I mean, it ends for me after Joker stuff.
Right.
And the movies, you know, the Batman movies. So for me, watching Justice League, I have no beef with it. I have no beef with Batman v Superman. But I guess if you're a diehard fan, there's a lot of continuity problems and errors that to the hardcore comic books fans. And I respect that. But, you know, at the same time, when I get shit from comic book fans about it, but I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand, I'm not you. I'm not the diehard fan. And
that's
to me,
it.
I'm just watching a comic book film, and what I'm seeing, I enjoy, you know?
Right. And there's degrees. Like there will be fans that will watch it and just get lost in the euphoria of seeing a 4-hour movie of their favorite superheroes. And then there are fans that are big fans that follow it, that will be able to watch it and critique it as objectively as best they could. And I'm always fascinated to hear those things because I think it's about balance. That's what it's always about. Like, when you look at things in life, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, and I'll try not to, but just things in life, it's about balance. It's like, no, you shouldn't eat junk food. No, you can eat junk food. You just can't eat it all the time. You know, oh, you shouldn't do this.
Mr. Miyagi's advice when he's giving it to Daniel.
Well, it is.
It's about balance.
Well, and that's what the Force was in Star Wars. It's about balance, right? It's not about extremes. It's not about being all right or all left or all conservative or all liberal. It's about balance, and that is where true harmony exists, in my opinion, is somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Is it's about learning to live with a balance of things as best as you possibly can. So I always try my best to look at balanced approaches and balanced reviews of certain movies or shows or whatever, because I think then you get a more true, as objective as you can, because we all have biases. I'm no different. I have biases too. But I try to be as objective as I possibly can, because I think then you get a true sort of kind of view of it. There's always going to be people that are just going to love everything. I love it. It was great. It's like, well, no, it wasn't great. No, it was great. And then of course there are those people that say, well, but all film is subjective. And it's like, well, yes, what you like is subjective. But as I've said many times, I do believe that you can make an argument. I've made it before that no, quality is not, what you like is subjective. But I do think you can measure quality, and there's reasons for that, which I've talked about, and I'll try not to go on. I don't want to continue because I could go on for another 10 minutes. But certainly I think that I'm like you. I'm happy for the fans, but I just hope fans temper their expectations and understand that there were reasons why Zack Snyder was able to have this. Certainly they felt they owed it to Zack. It's good publicity. It's good optics. His daughter died. There's that whole thing. More things are coming out. It's business. It's business. Not every director who gets meddling from the studio is now going to be able to release their 4-hour cut of something. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. You're not now going to get the, David Gordon Green cut of Halloween, or, this cut of, the Ridley Scott cut. It's not the 9-hour. It's not going to happen. So this was an anomaly in some ways. And so I just hope people understand that. That I think the probability is very low that this is going to start a trend. And I only say that because I see some people calling for other shit now and all this stuff. Now, will this spark interest in a sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League? That's a different topic for another show. Now that's interesting. But starting a trend where directors now get to release 4-hour cuts of their movies
they just brought in that dude there. Aren't they doing a black version of Superman now?
Well, they are, but I don't think it's connected to this version of the MCU, although I don't know. But Snyder ended Justice League on some way that makes fans want to have more, and it probably was his way of. So all I'm saying is, and I don't know what it is, but that's interesting. But like I said, in terms of directors now getting the opportunity from studios all over the place to release 4- and 5-hour cuts of their movies, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Mm. And I could totally see a sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League also not being 4 hours long. So keep that in mind too.
Well, I don't even know if Ben Affleck's going to want to come back to play Batman anymore.
No, well, that's it too.
I know Cavill still wants to play Superman. I mean, and he's got the age on his side where he can still do it. He takes care of himself. But it's a matter of getting Affleck back to want to do Batman again. And I'm not sure if he wants to do that because he never got his standalone films, which sucks because I would have liked to have seen what Ben Affleck would have done, with his adaptation of Batman. From a directing point of view, the dude is a great director. There's no argument there. He's directed some great films. And it's just unfortunate that didn't work out. I mean, I'm totally psyched to see the Pattinson Batman here. Was it next year, 2022?
Next year,
right?
Yeah.
But just sucks that we're not going to get to see the Affleck's version of his standalone film. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
because I also would have liked to have seen, more with Jared Leto. I know they would have brought Robin back into the equation as well too. Whether or not it would have been in flashback sequences and whatnot, it would have been very and he was even thinking about showing in the flashback sequences of showing death in the family, which is where Robin is killed. That to me, that is a movie that needs to be made. And if you of all the Batman story arcs that needs to be told, a death in the family needs to be told, but it also needs to be told in a sadistic horror style movie where it's 2 hours of the Joker torturing the shit out of fucking Robin. That's the kind of fucking death in the family movie I want to see.
And let me clarify too. Again, it's not black and white like this, but you know, when I say the studios don't care about fans, I'm largely talking about the bureaucrats. You know, the bureaucratic nature of that kind of a business. I'm not saying filmmakers don't necessarily, because they're artists. And there's a big difference between studio executives and filmmakers. Many filmmakers do care because they are fans themselves, you know, and care very much. But when you're working at...
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a great fucking shot, dude.
Where he's coming through the fog.
Interrupt me on this all you want. This is awesome.
It looks like his eyes are glowing, but they're not glowing.
Yeah, it's great. And you get a sense of his size here. See, Loki and Captain Marvel. No, is that Loki? Is that the guy that plays Loki?
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. This is them. This is the first movie in the MCU. I'm telling you, this is it right here. Kong is showing up in the next Marvel movie.
Until the lightning starts, and he looks at her and is like, "I gotta go."
Kong is showing up in the next Marvel.
Anyone gets that reference in the chat room is gonna be laughing.
I don't get it, but I'll take your word for it.
Thor, it's his brother.
Right.
It's a love-hate relationship with his brother.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, there's always the studios do meddle, and because they, you know, are following the trends and the patterns and want to make money, and sometimes they, you know, if you're lucky, you'll get the movie you want out. But that's why you'll often see, you know, high production fan films like, you know, Never Hike Alone, or you know whatever the case is, really resonate with fans because there's no studio meddling, and because it's not making money, it's not making profit, so it's not designed to follow a certain trend or a certain this or whatever. And the same is with It's Me, Billy. You know, we're not, you know, there's nobody telling me, no, you can't release that. No, you can't release that. No, that image you can't release. No, you can't say that. No, you can't have that in there. I can have whatever the fuck I want in there. I'll release whatever the fucking image I want. You know, and there's a nicety about that, but I'm also not, I'm also not have just spent $5 million and am not working for a studio that depends on making hundreds of millions of dollars. So, you know, it's a whole different ball game when you get to that level. And I mean, it's what it pushes some filmmakers out the door. John Carpenter, George Lucas. Of course, Lucas sort of became the thing he was trying to avoid, but certainly he, you know, didn't like.
The worst mistake he ever did was sell that freaking rights to Disney. If I could have been in his camp years ago, I would have told him, don't do it. Don't sell your baby off, man.
Are those tree branches moving behind them? Sorry, I just want.
No.
Oh no, it's okay. I see it.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 31 minutes into Kong Skull. Look at him coming through the trees here. Yes, his head against the moon.
It's a big ass moon.
Yeah, really. Maybe
although there are places on the planet where it does look that
you'll
big.
See that big,
legitimately,
yeah. Especially when especially when you don't have like noise pollution and not noise pollution.
And when you get more down towards to the equator, and if you're on an island somewhere and the moon is rising, I mean, it really looks that big.
Yeah. Fuck. You imagine just getting ripped apart like this? It's crazy. Yeah, it's a great. I mean, this is a great shot, and he's in the fire. Now, why isn't Kong burning alive? Oh, he is kind of.
He burning. Is sort of.
Yeah, get out of there, Kong! Come on.
Yep, this is what we humans do. We invade people's places, and we decide, you know what? We're gonna fuck you up and kill you, and not just leave peacefully.
Yeah, because we think we know better.
Pretty much.
Right? You need to think.
Kong's been there for God knows how many years, but yeah, our military people here have it in their minds that we need to kill him. He's done nothing to affect the human race at all.
You need to think like me. Sounded like Marvin the Martian. Yes, freeze, Earthling. You need to think like me. Yeah, Kong, kick his ass. Fucking right, stepped on him. Love it. Pull the Michael Myers right there.
I like how you got the burning embers on his body.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
It is pretty cool. His fur is all torched, and down he goes. Oh, poor Kong. Way to go, you fucking losers. Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. I wonder if the L stands for.
What was his character's name in Mace Windu?
Mace Windu. Do we know what the L stands for in Samuel L. Jackson?
Love. I don't know.
Samuel Love Jackson. Like Jennifer Love Hewitt. She had a birthday a few weeks ago.
Did she?
Yeah. She's 42 now. She's our age.
She's our age.
She is, yeah. And we both had a mother named Pat who died of cancer. That's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She had a mother named Pat, or Patricia, I guess, and her mother died of cancer. I forget what year. And my mother's name was Pat, Patricia, and she died of cancer in 2011. So, it's serendipitous. Come on.
Do it.
Shoot him. Did you say bitch, please?
He did. I will say I love that. He was able to look at Brie Larson and be like, bitch, please.
I'm surprised that's not a meme.
Either that or she probably wasn't even on set for that shot.
It's possible.
It's very possible that she doesn't know that was done.
But I'm surprised that hasn't become like a GIF or a GIF or whatever you fucking call it.
A meme towards Brie Larson.
Yeah,
bitch,
I am.
please.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I got a feeling she probably wasn't on set for that shot. I have a real strong.
This would have been shot 2016. So I mean, it's probably
but
she,
for that angle, when the shot's on him, she doesn't need to be there.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. It's coming out of the water here.
Here comes the big one.
Oh, right. The big one.
Good. I can feel your anger. You have daddy issues.
It's a cool looking creature.
It's a cool looking creature.
All right, Samuel L. Jackson, like LL Cool J. You know what the LL in LL Cool J stands for? Ladies love.
Yep.
Ladies love Cool James.
It was the 80s, man.
Ladies love. I'm surprised he hasn't been canceled.
No.
Seems a little. No, of course not. But you know how people can get crazy over things like that.
You're being pretentious.
Ladies love Cool James. It's a bit presumptuous.
Hey, he was busting out the hits, man, between the 80s and 90s. He backed it up.
Dude, he was something like a phenomenon, I'm telling you.
Definitely was. He knocked you out.
2 puns in a row, folks.
All while doing it well.
Yeah. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, I said that the other day on Instagram. He's the one, definitely the one bright spot to H2O. His character was really good.
I liked him in Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, is the chef? Yeah, he was funny in that too.
Who's rolling through here? Holy shit.
Round, melon, tumultuous breast. Something like that. Isn't that what he says?
Yes.
And then his wife is like, round melons.
Yeah, I know. Is that H2O or Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
That's H2O when he's reading his story.
Oh, yeah.
That he's writing.
Yeah, I kind of remember that now. I haven't watched H2O in a while.
Well, we watched it when we did the stream.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But I mean, like, watch it. You know,
yeah, I got you.
Like on my own. Now, what are these things called? They're really cool.
I forget what
what he calls him in this film.
So
But,
he's
what's his name? John C. Reilly gave him a name, like a made up name.
right.
He says it when he's telling them the story in the cave with the people.
Right. Oh,
that dude just got Mickey Mantled.
That thing was smart. That thing was like,
I don't think so.
I think you're holding something explosive. Take this, bitch. I love that. That was great. That was great. That was so good. Oh, and Kong comes down like a bitch.
Went for the head.
Like not a bitch, like a boss, I should say. A bitch, a boss. Ooh, oh. Kong's hitting him. It's like, yes.
Skull crawlers. Thank you, Evil Alex. That's what John C. Reilly calls them in this movie.
Skull crawlers.
Skull crawlers. Their name's Kong.
The fuck you doing all the way up there? What is she taking out now? Her flare. Kong versus Godzilla must start on Skull Island or something, because there's shots in the trailer of him on Skull Island.
Well, they kidnap him for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We see the helicopter sequence, and then they put him inside what looks like to be like a Truman Show type of place, because he throws a tree and it bounces off the security thing.
That's it. Fucking humans, just meddling and everything.
Yeah, we're stupid like that.
Isn't it crazy?
You ever see the documentary Blackfish on Netflix? You want to talk about hating the human race? Watch that, man. You'll hate everything about SeaWorld and what they do to capture killer whales and how they go about doing it. Do you know? I didn't fucking know this because I just watched this because a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Haley, she pointed me in the direction to watch this shit. I always thought these SeaWorld trainers were marine biologists and had these special degrees and shit. Motherfucker, they're like you and I. No degrees, fresh out of fucking high school. They watch training videos and they're fucking thrown in there and fucking training killer whales with literally zero background on these animals' personalities, no studying them, none of that shit. I'm like, what in the fuck? Are you kidding me? We do not have marine biologists watching these fucking animals, and you're telling me that these animals that are kept in SeaWorld are getting the best treatment? Get the fuck out of here. Watch that shit. That's a recommendation for everyone. Watch the fucking story Blackfish, and you'll hate everything about what SeaWorld does and how they treat these fucking animals. And every time I hear a trainer gets attacked, I'm like, damn, it should have been fucking killed.
It's crazy to think that of the world's problems, like, it's mostly all because of us.
It is because of us.
I mean, all of the world's problems are because of us. Now, there are obviously natural, evolutionary, the world has been heating up and cooling down long before humans were ever even here. So, I mean, there is a natural thing that happens on the earth too. But when you look at a lot of the things, the issues, the problems in the world amongst humans and environment issues and whatever, just a lot of the issues is all because of it. Like, it's not because of, elephants. No, it's not because of gerbils. It's not because of my cat. Right.
The killer whales didn't ask to be fucking kept in a fucking 2x2 fucking fish tank, being well underfed, okay, and performing fucking tricks. I mean, you can only imagine what these fucking poor animals must, feel and go through.
Yeah.
And don't kid you, man. Fight. Fucking killer whales are fucking smart animals. They're not very stupid.
Smart. Yep, very smart. A lot of whales are. Oh! Is Kong going to save him? No. You're dead, bitch. This guy still won't give up. This is like an epic fight. It's like this little bitch won't give up. He just keeps going. Brie Larson is dying. Oh, what the hell's her character's name in this movie?
I just call her that
Jim?
girl.
I don't know.
The photographer.
Jim.
Oh, nice.
That was like a Mike Tyson uppercut right there.
That was.
That was like Tyson versus like Razor Ruddock uppercut, or I don't know. Did you give an uppercut to Ruddock? I can't remember. I love that shot though. The hand coming into the water
and getting her. Out
yeah,
of
it's
the
a
water.
cool
Yeah,
shot.
Cool.
A lot
Very
of cool
cool.
imagery in this movie for sure. He's looking at her like, the fuck is this? He's still not dead, that guy. And now he's fighting with her with her in his hand.
Now we're getting into like some. It's a good callback. It is a good callback to the old Kong. You know, with having the pretty girl in his hand and protecting her.
Yeah, and now he's got her in his mouth. Good thing she's unconscious. Oh, that was epic.
Ripped out his freaking intestines.
Yeah, or his tongue or whatever. That was epic. How's she doing? No, she's okay.
She has no idea.
Well, yeah, and the only reason why he's like looking at this now we're going back to the original Kong idea, right? The reason why he's looking at her the way he is the same reason why you can watch videos of apes in the wild. You have to be careful, but it's because there's an instinctual sort of, I don't know what I can't explain it, but it's a I can't not explain it, but I mean I can't think of the word, but you wouldn't get this reaction if it was Godzilla, right? Because Godzilla doesn't see us in a similar way. There's an instinctual sort of relatable, almost primal kind
of our
of
evolution,
right? Exactly,
of human,
exactly, and he almost sees it as like another ape or just a hairless ape, or whatever the case is, or a strange, yeah. What is this little monkey or whatever? You know what I mean? And it's not like he's intellectualizing it, like that, but it's
I
instinctual.
get what you're saying. He's processing it.
He's processing
like we
it.
were just saying a moment ago about killer whales being intelligent mammals.
Right, exactly.
It's the same thing.
100%. And you wouldn't get that with Godzilla. I mean, that's why you don't get it with Godzilla, and it's why it's not that Godzilla isn't smart in his own way that they've made him, but it's not necessary. It would be strange. And I'm a Godzilla fan. You know me, I'm Team Godzilla, but it would be cringeworthy and I would fucking lose it if I ever saw Godzilla pick up, Millie Bobby Brown or whatever, and like hold her in his hand and look at her the way that Kong, looked at Brie
that would
Larson,
be absurd.
and then
if they wanted to do like where he looks over his shoulder and he sees her and then he doesn't do anything, he just looks and then he just walks off. All right, whatever.
Okay, but I had an issue. Like, I love King of the Monsters, but I had an issue.
Didn't he do that in King of the Monsters?
Well, this is what I'm going to get to. Exactly. I had an issue. No, he didn't. But I had an issue when she's in Boston, excuse me, and he shows up and then she has this look like, I knew you would come. Thanks, buddy. He's not there he doesn't give a fuck about you. No, he doesn't care about you. He's there because of King Ghidorah. He's there because it's this exactly. He doesn't even know who the fuck you are. And it's the way they did that, I was like, he doesn't care. If he ever picked up Millie Bobby Brown and set her down gently and looked at her the way Kong looked at Brie Larson, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that would ruin it for me.
Totally, 100%. I don't think they're going to do that because I think they're smarter than that and they understand the two species that they're dealing with. But with Kong, and that's also why we as human beings, subconsciously, we don't think about this consciously, but it's why when we watch King Kong, the 33 or the 76 or the 05 or even, this movie, we as humans sort of feel for Kong and we feel sad when he falls down, or we feel, sad maybe when he's hurt or whatever, because there's so much human in apes. Just watch fucking apes at the zoo. Oh my God. It's like watching us. It's insane. It's weird. It's almost surreal, the way they, look over. Like, I was watching this video of these two apes watching a caterpillar, and it was like, it's so funny. They're gentle, and they're pushing it with their fingers, and they're putting their hands on their chins like this. It's like, oh my God, this is like a human. It's weird, so there is that there. There is that there.
Are we gonna stay for the full ending with the end credits, or you don't care about the end credits?
I forget what happened during the end credits.
It's Brie Larson and Loki, Tom Hiddleston. They're in the interrogation room, and then you see like it's basically the lead into Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh,
Well, the nod to
I see.
What's coming.
What are we at here? It's 48.
There's like 11 minutes. I mean, we can kind of
we can let it go.
Through
sure,
it and
sure,
then,
let's do it. You know what? I'll read a super chat here. That was fun though. It was Kong Skull Island. You know what?
The point where John C. Reilly's made it back home, seeing his son for the first time, and he's about to sit back and watch his beloved Cubbies and eat a hot dog There is, I got to tell you, he's right about one thing. There's nothing like watching the ball game, eating a hot dog, and drinking a beer on a cool or a nice summer afternoon. I will agree with that.
It's a good time.
It is a good time.
David Coe sends in a $9.99 super chat and says, Netflix announced it will cut down on password sharing. It took them 13 years to figure this out. Let's hope no one from Netflix goes to work for any national security agency. No, it didn't take them 13 years to figure it out. It started to become an issue. And I think that's perfectly fine. I find it funny. I understand why people are upset, but at the same time, and by the way, they're not getting rid of password sharing within your own household. So if you are somebody who lives with your mom or dad and you want to share your password with your mom or dad, you're allowed like a certain number of accounts under the same IP address in the same household. That will continue. That's fine. But if you want to share, like if Tony wanted to share his Netflix, password with me, it's like, yeah, no, you can't do that. And I agree with that because it's fraud. it's cheating. Despite what you might think, oh, they're $1 billion company. It's still, you can't think of it from a business perspective. Would you like that as a business? Would you like that? No, you wouldn't. So yeah, I totally understand.
My Netflix password, by the way, is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
36. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious 36. But you know what?
But spelled backwards.
Exactly. But I get it. I understand it. I get it. It makes sense to me. And what are you going to do? It's stealing. Oh, it doesn't matter. If you were a business, you wouldn't want that either. You wouldn't want that either. So in principle, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm getting rid of Netflix. No, you're not. You're not getting, shut up. I'm getting rid of Netflix. I'm not watching Disney Plus. Oh, shut up. No, you're not. The Boogeyman.
Did get rid of Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, no. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But you're rational. The Boogeyman is coming, sends in a $9.99 super chat, says, Dave, there's a new theory that Michael's target in H1 wasn't Laurie, it was Annie. That's not a new theory. I mentioned something about that years ago, but anyway, just saying. Some are even saying Michael Myers had no target and it was the entire group. Who was the intended target? Wham did a video on this. Well, it'd be too much. How do I get into this?
I hate when we overanalyze the simplicity of a simple story that was told back in 1978.
Let me tell you, the target of Michael Myers was Laurie Strode.
Yep.
It was Laurie Strode.
Case closed.
And
end of discussion.
And I can understand because this theory is not new, contrary to popular belief, actually. This theory's been out there for a while. And I remember talking about, I don't know if I did a whole video on it, but I remember mentioning it and talking about it a while ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And, the theory, like the evidence, the circumstantial evidence that is laid out is there's nothing original about, like, you could do this kind of thing with a lot of movies, right? Mm-hmm. You can put your own interpretation on a lot of movies that are ambiguous by nature. So the character of Michael is ambiguous by nature. And because Halloween was supposed to be a standalone movie with no sequel, it's designed in a way that allows its audience to interpret certain things, right? Because he wasn't the sister. I mean, or he wasn't the brother, excuse me, right? So there's ways you can interpret the original Halloween that you cannot do in the subsequent sequels because they're more well-defined, they're more fleshed out. But with the original, you can do, I mean, I'm sure you could even, say his target wasn't that, his target was Tommy, from a certain point of view. But when you look at the intention, what the intention was, yes, it was Laurie. One of the bigger arguments for the Annie thing, and there's stuff that leads up to it, and I get it. It's a cute way to look at it. Was that, well, but look what he did with Annie's body. She's lying on the bed. There's the tombstone. It was clearly about Annie, and Laurie just happenstance to pop over because she was worried about her friends. But what people have to remember is that it was what Michael is doing is he's displaying the Bob. He just chose it to be Annie. He could have chosen Linda, but he chose it to be Annie
Bob.
or Bob. He just happened to choose. Well, no. I don't think it would have
Well,
been
no,
Bob.
it probably wouldn't have been Bob because it was the female name. Yeah,
Exactly, because he's a dude. But I think what he did was he's displaying it. It's like what Billy does in Black Christmas with Margot and
it's art. It's his art.
It's a display. It's a sadistic, sick sort of, and it's to be discovered. It's not a calling card, but it's to be discovered. He displays it like that to be discovered, and it's not about Annie as much as it is about the person who discovers it. And that's really what the intention there is. It could have been Linda that was lying there. Maybe should have been actually, because she was blonde and Judith was blonde. And maybe it would have made more sense if they had thought about it more logically, to have the blonde actually lying there. And Laurie, of course, is blonde. So that actually would have made more sense. But no, it's a fun thing to look at, and you can look at it from a certain point of view. But certainly the intention when you watch the movie, when you listen to the creators talk about the movie, the intention was he had an infatuation with, he had an infatuation with everybody. I mean, obviously, but certainly he took a keen interest in Laurie.
Well, there is one theory that there is absolutely positively no denying, and that is Loomis had the high ground at the end of the film.
He did have the high ground.
He had the high ground.
He did.
Sorry, Mikey.
That's
Loomis
true.
had the high ground.
That's true.
It's over.
And Darren's right when he says here, it'll be interesting to see if they follow through with the password sharing cutback. It could affect the viewing figures. It could. I've noticed, though, that things just even out in the end, and I think people... What I'm curious about, Darren, is all these streaming services that are now like, it's inevitable. People cut their cable, and cable sucked too. That's why. But it was getting too expensive. But now the streaming wars have begun, and they began a long time ago. Now, if you want to watch, and I'm not, see, this won't affect me. Well, unless there's a single show on each. Like, I'm not a big watcher of TV shows. So, like, I have Netflix, who doesn't? I have Disney Plus because of The Mandalorian. But I don't have, I guess I do have Amazon Prime. You know what? I just discovered the other day, I actually do have Amazon Prime. And I knew I did because I have the shipping 2-day thing. But I didn't realize that that gave me access to the movies as well. Because I've never watched a movie on Amazon Prime ever in my life. I've never watched a movie or a show on Amazon Prime.
I've only watched Halloween 2.
Ever in my life.
Zombies.
There you go. There you go, right? So I'm not a big watcher of, I'm just not that kind of, I'm just not, so there will be people like me that will just still only have 2 of the 9 that are out there. But if you're somebody that likes, that you are that kind of fan and you like to watch everything and you, oh my God, HBO Max has got a good show and Apple TV and Peacock and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Netflix and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, and you're going to be spending upwards of $150 a month on all these streaming services.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there goes the, streaming is cheaper. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
So kind of crazy. Have we come to the end of the?
I think we're just about. We're getting close here. It's.
Oh yeah, hey, good timing. Good timing. Let's see what happens here. Good timing, and then we'll finish off the super
end
chats.
credits here with Kong Skull Island. Good,
Kong Skull Island.
This is the lead in.
In the dark.
In the dark.
In the dark.
You're enjoying this, right?
Yes, I am.
I am enjoying
Is
this.
this fun for you?
That's what Tom Hiddleston does every morning in front of his mirror.
Every fucking morning. Every fucking morning he does
morning.
this.
That's his speech.
Yeah.
Get it. No island.
And who the hell? Yeah. Kong. Oh yeah, it's the lead into the whole. We need to get Kong. Why? Just fucking leave Kong alone. Leave Kong alone. That's what I say.
I like this little video clip they put together.
Yeah.
Kong is not the only king.
Yeah.
That's what There's Godzilla.
There he is. There's Ronan or whatever.
Ronan.
Mothra.
King Ghidorah.
King Ghidorah.
Well, this was a great lead into King of the Monsters, which was the next
Absolutely.
movie.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
And it shows Godzilla fighting.
Yeah, King Ghidorah.
King
Or King
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah in Japanese.
And of course, Godzilla.
Yep.
I will say the scream that they gave Godzilla in the films is bad.
Oh, it is. It's bad, fucking
very
badass.
badass.
That was great. I loved in King of the Monsters when Godzilla rises out of the ocean, they actually went back to the original Godzilla theme.
Godzilla, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And they have like the chanting and shit. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's orgasmic. Anyway, let's go back to the super chats.
Super chat.
The Boogeyman is coming. Wait, no, I read that. Thank you, Boogeyman is coming, by the way. Blood Red Sky sends in a, that looked like 52 for a minute. I don't have my glasses on. $2 super chat says, saw this in cinemas. No impact. Godzilla 14 better. I don't know. Fair enough. I mean, that's your opinion. I'm not a big fan of the 14 Godzilla movie. I don't hate it or anything, but I like King of the Monsters way better. Way better King of the Monsters. I actually watched King of the Monsters not that long ago, just like a month or so ago. I'll be watching it again here soon too. The Dark Apex, I like that. Sends in a very generous super chat of $20. Thank you, buddy. Oh, wait, are we still live?
Yeah, we're live, right?
Yeah, we're live. Okay, yep. The Dark Apex sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, we need a MonsterVerse Godzilla film like Skull Island, but takes place during World War II, and the military run into him, and they attack him, so he attacks back, and then a new creature attacks that is a big threat, and he defends them. Well, we kind of got that in Godzilla 2014. It just didn't take place during World War II. But I get what you're saying. You want like a Godzilla origin story. Well, you have to remember that the original Godzilla film from 1954 is a metaphor, right? He's the product of, that's why a lot of the political nuclear themes that you get in the 1954 Japanese film have been largely removed from the 56 cut, which is an American film, because it didn't paint the US in that really positive light, because that's why Godzilla is nuclear. For those of you that don't know, is that he's a metaphor for what you can do when you fool around with nuclear weapons. Now, obviously, that metaphor, I think, is going to change over the years in regards to Godzilla, but that's why he was an omen. He was a symbol of what can happen when humans, with that kind of power. And obviously that's why he attacks Tokyo, right? And he's annihilating everybody. And that but of course the 1956 cut of that movie with Raymond Burr, which is actually called Godzilla King of the Monsters, that angle, not completely removed, but watered down, let's say, for American audiences, certainly during that time in 1956, height of the Cold War and all that stuff. I mean, that they certainly don't want the U.S. to be painted in a bad light. But so I don't know what Godzilla's origin story, now that it's being produced by Hollywood, I don't know what his origin story would be. That's why he's nuclear. So why is he nuclear now? I don't know, but interesting though. But I'm okay with the 14 movie. I just wish they would have, I don't know. I just wish the characters would have been more interesting. Tony, any thoughts?
You're the Godzilla dude, man. I'm just, I have those two films. I have Kong the 62 King Kong versus Godzilla.
Gotcha.
But the only two that I have, I have the Matthew Broderick one, but
Matthew.
I don't want to open up that can of worms. I don't want to open up that. Yeah. So
anyway,
I'm not really, Godzilla isn't really I'm not really well knowledge on that. So
that's
I don't
okay.
really want to
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that one on you to
leave that one on me. I'm putting on my glasses. Oh, I just hit my microphone because I can't see anything. Oh my God, I can actually see what I'm reading. Southpaw 82
Sucks
says,
getting old, doesn't it?
It does suck. Southpaw 82 says, being a hardcore Godzilla fan, I'm really hoping Godzilla versus Kong. It's actually the title of the movies. Oh no, it is. Is it Godzilla versus? No, I think it's Kong versus Godzilla, if I'm not mistaken. I think is the name of the movie.
Does it fucking matter?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I mean,
but
like, for real.
No,
Like,
no,
really
it does.
matter?
It doesn't. It doesn't. But I just was thinking about the optics of it. Leads to more films and eventually to an epic, climactic, destroy all monsters type of film. That may be the direction they may want to go in. That might be kind of interesting. Sucks Film sends in €5. Thank you. Says my great uncle worked on The Shining. Very cool.
Oh,
he actually told me the story of the moving in Raiders props as they were leaving. That's very cool,
That's
man.
cool. Yeah.
Very,
I
very
thought that was
cool.
a neat little, like, oh, that's cool that they filmed on the same sound stage and Kubrick being Kubrick taking too much time.
Exactly. Oh yeah. I think isn't that where Spielberg and Kubrick met? Because
That's a good question.
Spielberg and Kubrick
man.
had a pretty friendly relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
You know, from what I understand, your boy Spielberg he wasn't a big fan of The Shining initially.
Initially, no, but
He
that's
wasn't a big fan of it.
But that's why Spielberg eventually did AI, because Kubrick, he was the only one that wanted him to do, like, Spielberg was the only guy that Kubrick wanted to do it. And they had great, like, long talk, because although Kubrick was American, he lived over in London or wherever, and
I think Kubrick didn't like flying. He hated
something like
flying.
that. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I'm not a fan of flying either.
Yeah, and I think they met. That's where at least
on the soundstage,
right? That's where the seed of their friendship was planted at the very least, because that would make sense. That would totally make sense. Jeff Harris sends in a $4.99 super chat. Says, "So, do you guys think Kong will stunner Godzilla and open a can of beer at the end of Zilla versus Kong? Yes, and then Godzilla will turn around and spear Kong and then jackhammer him.
Well, not only will Kong stunner him, then he's going to get up and raise one eyebrow.
Exactly.
And then hold up one arm. Like
exactly. So we're combining a bunch of different. Like, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Hybrid. And then he's going to give him a nice elbow drop, and then Godzilla's going to kick out of it and get all Hulk open and do the leg drop. Yeah.
Leg drop. I think
tiny little legs.
I think Michael should do the leg drop. And anyway, I'm going to make that a post. Mendel Goodman sends in $5. Says, do you think future shows, movies are going to change because of fear of being canceled or red flagged? My thought is, okay, yes, I do think there is a cultural shift into appease. And you know what they say, if you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. And I think there is, like, the thing is, and again, I just speak for myself. I do think there are certain things that I've seen where I'm like, yeah, I can understand, we don't need that, or that's kind of old school, whatever. But the problem I have, and the problem I think most people have, is the lack of consistency. And again, that doesn't mean there aren't certain things where you're like, you don't need to, that's just ridiculous. Like Pepe Le Pew and this garbage is just insane, in my opinion. But it's the lack of consistency that I think it's like, well, hang on a sec here. You can't cancel Pepe Le Pew, but leave such and such. Like you gotta, we either get rid of all of it or we get rid of none of it.
Cancel Dr. Seuss, but the song of the year is Wet Ass Pussy.
That's exactly, well,
okay.
Right.
Whatever.
And, right.
At that point, you lose all credibility in your argument.
And it's a good argument though. I mean, like what you're saying, Tony, because.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the people who like to argue why they should cancel Dr. Seuss, but you're going to defend Wet Ass Pussy being the song of the year where kids can fucking listen to that shit on YouTube. Get the fuck out of here.
And with all due respect to whoever it was, Cardi B or C or whatever her name is, with all due respect, it's not my kind of music. It's not my style. If I wanted to make women feel more empowered or uplift young girls or whatever the case is, because I know that was a narrative for the song. I know that that's part of the excuse. I would not choose to do it that way. To me, and maybe I'm a little old school, I don't know. I just think that's a little, and I'm not, again, people have to understand, I'm not conservative, I'm not liberal, I'm very centrist, there's some things I'm left on, there's some things I'm right on. but I just look at that.
Hip hop rap. Most of my vinyl down there, a big portion of it is old. It's old school hip hop.
Right.
It's, Wu-Tang, LL Cool J.
But your
Run
point,
DMC.
but it's to your point though, is that you can't. It's difficult to sell me on a song like that with its message. Apparently, this is the message. It's difficult to sell a song like that with the narrative that this is the message to me. Maybe not to, when I say you, I don't mean Tony. I mean, the people out there. Maybe not to you, but to me, it's difficult to sell a song like that with its apparent narrative, but yet we're canceling Pepe Le Pew. Yeah. It's
or Dr. Seuss
or whatever the case is. It doesn't mean that there are not things that, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't draw people like that anymore. Or maybe we shouldn't, perpetuate that stereotype as, what. I get it. I understand. I'm not unreasonable. I understand it. But I do think there is a lot of overcompensating. I think there are a lot of knee-jerk reactions. I think it's going to continue. And unfortunately, the more and more it goes on, the more and more I realize the world is changing in a way that's not made for me anymore. And it doesn't mean that I'm, and I don't think I'm an unreasonable person. I can see certain things where I go, yeah, you know what? I can understand how that might rub somebody the wrong way. And then there's sometimes where I'm like, this is, whoa, hang on a sec here. This is going too far. And it's the lack of consistency. It's just a lack of consistency. And there's also reasons for that lack of consistency. So when it comes to movies and TV shows, yes, 100%, especially since Hollywood is a very liberal, far left leaning culture, you are definitely going to see, and we are seeing, a lot of those types of changes. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to.
But I also think there's good things on the horizon now. Whether you or I will still be alive to witness it when it reaches its peak, I think it's really important that I'm not a big fan of Ben Shapiro, but I respect the fact that he's creating movie content and that the Gina Carano thing that him and her are doing now. Whether or not that movie is an epic movie, that's neither here nor there. But the fact that they're creating content, they're laying a foundation so that that what you just asked in your question may or may not be a problem in 20 to 50 years from now because of someone like Ben Shapiro and his organization. And maybe there's someone else out there like that who's gonna be like, you know what? We ain't gonna, we're not gonna go by what Hollywood tells us we need to do and the type of content and movies we need to make. We're gonna go and do it on our own. And you may have a secondary option. Whether or not that happens in where it gets to a point where it's like, producing, $400 million blockbuster movies.
It's all money.
That may not be in mine and Dave's lifetime, but some of you youngsters out there, you may see that rise happen, and there may be. And I think competition's good. Competition's healthy, And so, like I said, whether or not the movie Shapiro and Carano make is the best movie ever, that's not the point. The point is they're laying a foundation for something bigger to happen, and that is for creators that are out there to continue to make movies that you don't need to worry about the content of the story you're telling, and that you don't need to worry about being canceled. You're like, well, fuck you, Hollywood. We don't need you. And I think that's a good thing. And the shitty part is you and I will probably not get to see the payoff of that in the years that we'll be too old. Well, we may not.
Yeah, and it just makes me sad. It makes me sad that.
It's sad that we have to do that, but it's come to that.
Well, no, but
it sucks.
I think what I mean by I agree, but for me, I'm sad because civil discourse is gone, and I'm if in case people haven't caught on by now, I'm what would be considered a professional communicator, and I speak for a living. And I'm not talking about this channel. I'm talking about my job, which is a professional voice actor. And, and I've always been somebody who is, and I have my biases and I have my thoughts and things I like and things that I think should, we all do. But I've never been an unreasonable person. At least I don't think so. And I don't know. I'd have to ask if there's anybody out there that has grown up with me and in the past, and you can certainly chime in and let me know. But I don't think I've ever been an unreasonable person. I'm very theatrical, of course, and animated, and I but I'm not unreasonable. And it pains me that the civil discourse and communication, it's just so black and white. No pun intended with the racial thing now, but it's so black and white. There's no nuance. There's no context. It's just boom, 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 boom. And that, as somebody who's nearly 42 years old, we didn't grow up and I can only imagine what somebody who's like 72, must be experiencing. It's we're not old, but we're old enough to remember where it's like, hang on. And I think most people out there, I mean, maybe not, maybe I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm being too generous, but I'd like to think that most people are reasonable and can understand, well, hang on a sec. We understand. Okay. This is an issue. I get it. Hey, you know what? Maybe we could be better there. But it's this flipping the table. It's this, it's this,
Temper
just
tantrum.
it's this absurd, obnoxious, black and white, childlike abuse that is happening. That I'm just like, for
bro,
Christ's
I'm counting down the
sakes.
days till they come after the horror genre. I mean, it's just like that genre is a ticking time bomb for cancel culture.
It makes me incredibly sad because it makes me realize that this is not, I don't like, I feel like I'm a shark on the Shark Tank, and I want to be like, I'm out. Like I don't like your pitch. I'm sorry. I'm out. I can't invest in this. I'm out. Like I'm sorry, but it makes me sad because I like to communicate. I want to talk. I want to hear you. I want to communicate. I want to discuss. That's been my life. And it's unfortunate that's like that appears to be going away. It just sucks.
And not only that, they're going back in time now and canceling movies that were done because there wasn't enough diversity. And I'm like, what the fuck?
No, you should never do that.
You can't time travel to change I think it was Grease. It was Grease. Olivia Newton-John was defending the lack of diversity in a movie she made in the fucking 70s. Well, it's not like Olivia Newton-John and the entire cast of Grease can time travel, go back, recast it, refilm it, and remake the fucking movie. So the canceling sometime is so fucking stupid. Like, I agree with what you just said. Do we need to be more diverse in films? Yes, and we are doing that. So it's like, what's the fucking problem? Stop worrying about shit we did back in the fucking 70s. Well, let's just focus on now.
And you know what? I just had a great conversation, and maybe some of you heard it, I don't know, but I was interviewed by two terrific ladies who run a horror podcast called Whores Talk Horror. Now, they themselves say, they're not whores, okay? It's just a play on words. But it's a cute play on words.
I saw you shared that.
Yeah, I shared
watched that video.
I shared it, and they it's an audio podcast.
I'm sorry, I mean, I listened to it.
Yeah. And they were great. It's Mindy and Sharon, and their producer Spencer, I believe. I think I've got that right. And they wanted to interview me about It's Me, Billy, and Black Christmas, and because Mindy, who's one of the co-hosts, is a big Black Christmas fan. So they interviewed me, and we talked for almost 2 hours. Not just about that. We talked about Halloween. We talked about my paranormal experience when I was in my second year of college. We talked about a bunch of stuff. But of course, as we're talking about Black Christmas, the 2019 film came up. Now remember, I'm talking to two well-spoken, intelligent women.
Oh, you're talking about the recent Black Christmas film?
Right.
Yeah.
And they asked me my thoughts on it. And I was honest. And I gave them my thoughts. And you know what? They both agreed. And these are two intelligent, smart, well-spoken women. Now, that doesn't mean that that movie doesn't have its fans. It does. And a lot of women liked that movie. But these two well-spoken, intelligent women listened to me. And they could understand my point of view, and they ended up agreeing with me. And there are other women out there that agree with me too. And what was the issue is the pretentious, shoehorned in nature of it. I am all for lifting women up. We love women. Who doesn't love women? Yes, let's lift them up. But it has to be organic. It has to be done right. It can't be done on the coattails of things, because then there's always the caveat of, and it's the same with diversity, right?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and again, I'm not trying to be all political, but I am a firm believer in the opportunity and not the outcome. And I think that's very important. And these women understood what I was saying. They agreed with me. Whether they agreed with all of what I had to say, I don't know. But they certainly said, you know what, I agree with that. I understand that. That's how I felt about it too. So there are women out there that can see it. That can see, no, hang on a sec. I don't need to be talked to that way. I don't need to be, I don't, it's too pretentious. It's too preachy. Just make a good movie, and allow it to be subtext or, whatever the case is. And you know what? I give April Wolf and Sophia Takal credit. I don't think it's wrong what they wanted to do, but because the film was what it ended up being, any important message that you may have had because of the execution gets lost in translation. Yeah. And so they may have had something important to say, but because it was so on the nose and so, shoehorned in and it rubs a lot of people the wrong way, including a lot of women.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, is that important messages need to be organic. And it needs to be that it needs to feel right, not this, like we have to fill a quota and we got to make stuff. That's what
right. That's what I don't
rubs
want.
people
I don't
the wrong
want
way.
Look, if you're an African American, actor or actress, and the director feels, or the casting director feels, you are the right person for this role, that's the way it should be done. You know what I mean? Like you just said, I don't want us to be doing stuff just to fill a quota when. You know what I mean? Like that's not how movies should be made. It should be it should be made on how the writer intended the character to begin with. So if the character is intended to be white, well, then it's intended to be white. If it's intended to be black, then it's intended to be black. You know what I mean? I mean, that comes down to the story. It shouldn't be like that's what you said is extremely important. I feel like that's what we're coming towards. We're heading to this climax of now we're just going to do shit to fill a quota so that, we pamper everything. Like I know the Grammys I didn't even know the Grammys were on until I went on YouTube today and I saw all the videos that were being done on the Grammys, just because I don't care about award shows.
Yeah, I didn't know
but we're doing everything now to like fill this quota of showing that we are diverse, when we should just be diverse organically. It shouldn't be just something that we need to preach people about. It should be just done because you're the right person for the right part. If I want to cast Denzel Washington to play the lead in my movie, because I want to cast Denzel Washington to play the lead in my movie, not because I'm trying to be diverse, because that's who the part was for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand. Let's move on here.
Speaking of Denzel, do you know what I just watched, by the way? I know we'll get back to the super chats, but I finally watched it for the first time. This is one of those movies that like escaped me and I fucking loved it. And
Man on Fire?
No, Training Day.
Oh yeah, Training Day is good.
Such a good, because it was available on Netflix.
It's a good movie.
I watched it last week and I was like, damn, this is a good movie.
Antoine Fuqua?
Yeah,
Fuqua,
him
whatever,
and
the director.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It was a good movie. I haven't seen that in a while.
King Kong ain't got shit on me. So that's where I know where the line's from. When I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's where that's from.
That's where it's from. That's where it's from. But yeah, so I do think Mendel that unfortunately we will see a curvature. We already have. We will continue to see it. Hopefully, some point in the future, it'll, I don't know, even itself out somehow. Sean Sheridan sends in a €2. Thanks, buddy. He says, would you like Phoenix in a Batman 2022 sequel? I have no idea who Phoenix is.
He's talking about Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix. I see. I thought it was some character.
Batman.
I
think they need to just go a different direction with the Joker, if they're going to do the Joker in that universe.
You know what? I don't think they will now. Maybe they will.
I don't know. You think they're going to merge him?
No. I mean, I don't think they're just going to do anything with him now. I think they're just going to leave the Joker as is, as its own thing. I know they've been talking about a sequel, but that was before COVID. And now I don't hear anything about it. And maybe they've had time to, the novelty of this ginormous $1 billion psychological thriller, because that's what it was. And it was an amazing movie. I love it. It's sort of worn off. And now they're like, oh, you know what? Let's just kind of leave it like that. Just leave it there. And I'd be okay with it. I don't know though. Blood Red Skies, $5 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Do you think this year's brand new films like Kong vs. Godzilla and Mortal Kombat will make more money on VOD and theaters than Halloween Kills?
No.
More money on VOD and theaters than Halloween Kills.
Well, I think that goes back to what we were just saying a moment ago about how it's not really fair to judge whatever theaters are going to be open for people to watch Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. It's not fair to judge the what it does at the box office, because more than 90% of the theaters are probably still going to be shut down. And again, the comfort level of people because of COVID not feeling comfortable to be in the same close proximity. Even though if we are wearing masks, I still think people are going to be very apprehensive to do that. VOD though, video on demand, that means you're renting it. I don't think you're going to be able to rent it. I think the way they're setting this up, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, is it's going to be available on HBO Max for Kong. Is it what's Halloween going to be on? What's the stream thing? Service?
Oh, if Halloween was to go to streaming, it would probably go to Peacock, I guess.
Peacock, thank you. But I don't think they're going to do a video like a rental, because it's going to be on the respective streaming services. What will happen is once it does its run, it'll make it available to buy like on iTunes, Amazon, and so on. And then the DVD sales. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. It's hard to say because Kong will do what Kong versus Godzilla will do well. I think Kong versus
in the box office.
Well, yeah, because because they're looking at the question was, I guess, combining VOD and box office. Like,
but how do you do a VOD? How do you rent it if you have to go to the streaming service? You're not renting it. You're paying for the subscription.
Right. It's based on views, and then they calculate how much that would equate to in box office dollars based on views, right? So, I don't know. It's still too early to tell because I'm hoping the theaters will be open in time for Halloween Kills to have its IMAX debut. I was going to make this post yesterday on social media, and I decided not to because, people read what they want in a text, but I just was, and obviously I don't really feel this way, but I don't know. There's something funny about it. Because it's Dave being satirical again.
You're not saying it literally?
Well, I kind of am, but I was about to tweet. Part of me is kind of hoping that Halloween Kills gets delayed to 2022. You've
just pissed everybody off.
Exactly. Just so I could see everybody melt in hysteria on social media. I mean, and obviously it's not going to be delayed till 2022. But I was about to. Hey, tweet
when
that
they've even announced when they're going to start filming ends?
No, they haven't. Probably not till next year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get through these here. I gotta pee like a fucking motherfucker. Bud Gumperson. Thank you, Bud. Sends an 1111 super chat. Well, thank you very much. Says, Tony, what makes you prefer King Kong over Godzilla? I already know the answer to this. And Dave, what makes you prefer Godzilla over Kong? Is it more childhood preference or something about the character itself? Great question. Tony, take it away.
Exactly. Childhood preference. We grew up, me and my brother, we grew up watching Kong with my father, and we were just fans of King Kong. It wasn't like we hated Godzilla. We really weren't exposed to Godzilla. We knew who Godzilla was. It was just not anything we were really interested in watching. We literally would watch the 76 and King Kong Lives at the time as a kid. I thought that movie was great. As an adult, it's an entirely different story. Kong was just our dude. I mean, obviously we saw the King Kong versus Godzilla on VHS, which I have down there. From my dad. My dad would show us that. But it was just childhood thing, man. Like, I just, at some point I'll probably watch the old like Godzilla. I know the Godzilla 1985 is revered as one of the best Godzillas of all times. At some point I'll sit down and throw on some popcorn and watch Godzilla 85 one night, and I'll watch some of even the older ones and just get a kind of idea of who this character is. I mean, I sort of get it through the two films that I have seen. I guess we're not going to count the Matthew Broderick one, because that one, because I have seen that one, but I know that's pretty much don't count.
Yes, it doesn't count.
So with these two films, I kind of get like where Godzilla's origins come from, and I understand it, but there's more like a lot of the names to the monsters. I don't know them off the top of my head. I have to have Dave say the damn name first before because I haven't spent that much time in that universe. And I always forget King Ghidorah's name when I look at that damn three-headed monster. I'm like, what's that fucking monster's name again? But it's just because I haven't spent enough time with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where Dave can just, list off the names of all the monsters because Kong didn't have that. Like Dave said, Kong was never really a part of the Godzilla cinema. They did that back in the 60s. And I think that was more of a fun thing to do that they did.
Right.
But he was never intended to be in the same universe as the Godzilla characters.
No, that's why he was small as he was, and I don't mean small, but I mean that's why he was like 30 feet and not 300 or 150.
So, but what's your reasons for?
Same, really. I mean, I liked King Kong as a kid. I liked the 76 one with Jessica Lange and Charles Grodin and Jeff Bridges. I was a big fan of that one. My sister
Climbing
Jill.
the World Trade Center.
Yeah, I love
the unfinished World Trade Center at the
That's
time,
right. No, it would have been finished. I think it was
inside.
Inside.
You can see there's shots where it shows that the floors were on the higher levels that Jeff Bridges is going up, that they're incomplete. That's what I mean by unfinished.
Okay.
Not the exteriors. I'm talking about the interiors.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
My sister Jill took me to see the 86 sequel, King Kong Lives, in the theater when I was 7. So I like King Kong, but I loved Godzilla. And I just loved his look, and I loved his roar and his fire. And, I haven't seen every cheesy Japanese Godzilla movie that they dished out like fucking anything between, the 60s and the 70s. I've seen a few of them. There's a few that I like that are my favorites, like Godzilla versus Megalon and Godzilla versus Gigan or whatever. And there's a few there are some that
I don't even know who Gigan is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know who Mothra is now. She's the moth looking thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know who was the, so I know there's King Ghidorah and there's Mothra. And then who's the other flying
Rodan.
Rodan. Yeah. See, I don't know these names.
But a lot of
but
watching the cheesy Godzilla movies when we were kids.
And wait, sorry, who's the one he fights in the first 2014?
I don't know. I think that was a made up creature for that movie. I think.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think.
All right.
I think. I have no idea because there was like 3 or 4 of them in that movie. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But what I like watching the cheesy Godzilla movies now, they're really cheesy. Like, they're really, really cheesy. Like they're fucking cheesy as hell. Like they're guys in suits and, but watching them when we were kids, like when, in 1985, when we were 6, I mean, those movies were like barely 10 years old.
Exactly.
So watching them then, I mean, they were still kind of cheesy then because they're low budget, but they weren't like watching them now, like you watch them now and you're like, holy shit, this is cheesy. But so you have to watch them within their context. There's a charm to them. And most of them are actually not probably that great. But there's a few that are really good. And I've always been a big fan of the 85, the Godzilla 85, which is the American version.
Isn't that revered as like the best of all of them from back in the day?
I think most people probably consider the original 54 one probably the best, but there's a variety of reasons for that.
I always kept hearing people talk about Godzilla 1985.
Well, I think because kids like us grew up with it, and I think that's probably why. I think Godzilla 85, which is the American cut of Godzilla Returns, or the Return of Godzilla, which is the 84 film. So the 84 movie, the 84 Japanese film, which is the same movie as the 85 movie, but with some differences. The 84 movie is the sequel to the original Godzilla movie, pretending all those cheesy B-movie fighting monster shit never happened. It's the original sequel to the 54 film. The American version of the 54 film, which came out in 56, which has Raymond Burr in it and whatnot, the 85 movie is the sequel to that movie, which is why Raymond Burr is in the 85 movie. And it's essentially the same movie, but with some things removed and a few things added in. There's some changes for the American audience, obviously. Like one example is in the 1984 original Japanese version. Obviously, this is like the height of the Cold War. This is 1984, 85. And there's a Russian guy in the 84 movie who wants to launch a nuclear missile. And then he changes his mind, I think, and he goes to try and stop it, but I think he fails. In the 85 American cut, they change the dialogue because it's subtitled because he's speaking Russian, they changed the dialogue to reflect that he actually goes with the intention of not stopping it, but launching the missile. And with all due respect to my American brothers and sisters, a very American thing to do to continue to paint the Russians as very bad people. You know what I mean? But in the actual,
we're good at doing that.
But in the actual 84 movie, he's not doing that. He's trying to stop the missile. And I didn't know about this till like 2 years ago. And I was like, what? Because in the 85 movie, he's clearly going, you know, he's speaking Russian. I can't speak it, but that's my best caricature version of it. And he's talking and you see the subtitles, you know, like got to whatever. And I'm like, oh, and then I found out that in the 84 version, no, he's straining to get into the room, not to launch it, to stop it. And so I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. So there's little things like that to Americanize the movie, but it's the way Godzilla looks. It's a guy in a suit. I think it's the best looking Godzilla suit still to this day. I think because it's half suit, half animatronic.
Well, it's a guy in the Kong versus Godzilla. They're both men inside those suits.
Oh, in the 62 one, yes,
one, yeah.
But you can tell, you know what I mean? But in the 85 movie or 84 film, I think it's the lighting, it's the way he looks. There's no Godzilla's scary again. His fucking roar is fantastic. The opening of 1985 with the fire going up the screen and this majestic or this ethereal haunting score that's playing, and it's just really cool. And I think it's a really good Godzilla movie. And he's not fighting monsters; he's attacking Tokyo. And so it's classic in that way. And I think it's really good. You know, it's dubbed, you know, and I just actually, because they never released that movie on Blu-ray. I don't even think they released the 85 version on DVD. They did release the 84 original on DVD and Blu-ray, I think. But the 85 cut down has never been released on anything other than VHS, as far as I know. And I found this guy in Poland off eBay who is bootlegging versions of the 85 movie with a Blu-ray transfer. So I bought it and I was like, I wonder if this is going to work. And it had to be region 0, obviously. I think Blu-rays actually, don't have to be region 0.
So you pirated it.
Well, I didn't do it. He did. And
gotta be the greatest pirate I have ever seen.
That's amazing. So I bought it off of eBay. And
you didn't get my reference, man. Damn.
The greatest pirate. No, I got it. I'm just in the
Pirates
zone.
of the Caribbean.
Yeah, no, I got it. I just was in the zone. So I bought it and it took about 2 weeks to get here. It came. I opened it up. I put it in my Blu-ray player. I popped it on because at first I'm like, well, how good is this going to look? Like, what kind of technology is this guy using to do a quote unquote Blu-ray transfer of Godzilla 1985? You know, because he doesn't have the negatives, right? So how is he making it look HD if he doesn't have the original negative? So it looks really fucking good. Whatever he did a really good job. And I don't pretend to know what he did, but what he did, I'm watching, I'm like, fuck, this looks like a legit Blu-ray transfer. Godzilla looks amazing, you know? So, yeah, anyway, we got off on a tangent there, but yeah, that's why I like Godzilla and that's why Tony likes King Kong.
There you go.
Blood Red Skies sends in a $5 super chat, says Rob Zombie said he hated making H2 because they kept trying to make him stick to the original version of Halloween and Michael Myers and not get crazy wild. That sounds like something Rob Zombie would say. Makes sense.
Accurate to me.
Makes sense. David Coe sends in a $4.99 super chat, says Tony, better moment, the Malcolm Butler interception or comeback versus Atlanta?
You're talking about Patriot Super Bowl?
I guess I'm lost.
I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady winning his 7th Super Bowl with Tampa Bay because New England, bunch of idiots for letting that dude go. That's my favorite moment.
There you go.
How about that?
There you go. Pretty
Still
cool.
a Pats fan, but I'm loving the fact that he won the Super Bowl.
There you go. Jeff Harris sends in a $9.99 super chat, says, have you guys seen Ed Wood by Tim Burton? Isn't that with Johnny Depp? Watched it the other day. Really loved it. Sucks Burton is really not what he used to be. One of my favorite directors. I think I have seen Ed Wood, but not in like decades.
That's one Burton film that I have not seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a very, very long time. Very, very, very long time. Listen, folks, that's going to do it for us. We're approaching 3 hours. I believe it is. Yep. I'm pretty sure I got all the super chats. That's going to do it for us here on episode 103 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Tony and I will be back next Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for as we continue this run-up to the lead of Godzilla versus King Kong, which somebody in the chat room said that is actually the title, Godzilla. I'm pretty sure on some early promotional material I saw Kong versus Godzilla, but anyway, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Godzilla King of the Monsters, right?
I believe so. That's coming up next week. Thanks to our moderators, of course, Frank Greger, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber for doing what you guys do. Really appreciate it. Great work tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for McRae Live. Make sure you tune in for that. Tony, any last things you want to say?
No, good show. Good to be back, and we'll see you guys in a week.
Perfect. All right. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.